Okay, that was my problem. I hadn't hit that yet. Now maybe now maybe I can get it started. I was trying to I'm trying to use this StreamYard. This is the first time for me on StreamYard. So hopefully I can get some people in here and we can get going. I don't know how to check all the credentials on this. This one will actually let me put some extra people in here. I hadn't seen anybody jump in yet. I got two. Okay, I see. And there's a couple coming in. I hadn't seen my regular chatters yet. Oh, me. Hey, Tango Trucker. Hey, Philip. I'm trying to get a little breakfast in this morning. Trying to get a little breakfast in. Trying to use StreamYard here. I don't want to use. Hey, Rigo. You're coming from Southern California. Lordy mercy. Way out there. That's it's 6 o'clock out there, isn't it? Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning. I hope you're up and at it pretty good. I hope everybody's had a good week so far this week. I've had a very busy week. I'm coming from up here at my shop right now. As a lot of people recognize, I got my lifts behind me. Hey, Chris, how are you? Yeah. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Where are you at today, Kevin? Are you out running? Okay, great. So the picture and the sound's good. Yeah, I'm up here at my shop eating a little breakfast. I'm using StreamYard. Now, I want to invite some guys in now that with the StreamYard, if I can get your email address and somebody wants to jump in with me, now we'll be able to do that. Of course, no, wait a minute. I don't have any headphones on. I may have screwed myself up here, didn't I? Because I didn't bring any headsets. I would have to have a headset to be able to hear anybody. I guess I'll have to say no on that now. I forgot about that. Yeah, she laughed about it. She laughed about it, Chris. Yeah, Barbara and I both have had to help trim each other's hair and stuff like that. It's not been a good thing. That's for sure. Well, hey, Ponka, how are you this morning? Yeah, yeah. With this stuff here, I can put people's chats up and everything. It's pretty neat. Here's Chris's. Okay. Well, we hope so. You just crossed into Texas on 40. On which side? Are you going or coming? Yeah, I know. I know you pretty much know or a no limit guy, Chris. Yeah, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. I'm sitting back and relaxing, just eating I got me some of the Kraft cheese. I like cheese. But who doesn't like cheese? Just eating me a little bit of cheese and drinking me a Diet Mountain Dew. I'm trying to get started here this morning. Well, hey, Heavy Wrench. You see my lifts behind me, don't you? Yeah, Heavy Wrench has got Yeah, I got a Dixie chopper back there. We're actually yeah, I guess I'm a little bit of everything. Yeah, these lifts they're bad. These are the portable ones. Yours must be three phase. I bet you these are actually portable. I can actually take all four of these outside and lift up my truck, and then I've got the jack stands over here that are real high, and then we can. I mean, they will extend up to about 5 feet, I think, and I can put them underneath the trucks. I'm probably more closer to the Forrest Gump. Yeah, yeah. I got a chance of maybe buying some more three phase. Whoops, excuse me, guys. I put my foot up on my desk here. Uh, I've got a chance of maybe buying some. There's a company down here that decided to get the wireless like these, and they've got a couple of sets of the three phase. They don't like them because they keep running over the wires and everything else, and they did away with their three phase ones and went with the totally portables like I've got. So these have got big truck batteries in them, and I just keep them charged, and they go up. They're battery operated, and they're totally portable, so I can move them around all over the place, and then take everything up. So it works out really good. Nah, I don't know about a gazillionaire. Uh, I'm a more like a thousandaire. uh, I spend a gazillion. My wife says she would like me not to spend as much as I spend, but as it stands right now, I'm just I'm like the rest of you guys. I spend more on the business. I don't try to retain that much for me personally. Uh, I try to make sure my shop's in good shape, and we got the right equipment here, and but as far as personal, yeah, I'll have to do another shop tour. Oh, hey, Joy. Joy, you can't call me this time. I'm at my shop. No phones down here, except for my cell phone. Uh, but yeah, I'm not at the Napa store this morning. So, and I don't have phones. There's when you that's one thing that's new about everything. You don't really need phones like you used to because everybody carries a phone. That's exactly right. I'm just blue collar. Uh, we are, I'm old, so that's through attrition, I guess, is what the older you get and the accumulation I've had for the last 50 years. I guess I've accumulated a lot, and if you look at that value of that, then I guess I got a decent amount of equipment and everything. But as far as having millions in the bank, I'm no better than the other guy. I have adequate amounts of money in the bank, and I try to have a good cash flow. I have to with the size business that I have, but as far as doing a personal wealth thing, I don't really consider myself personally wealthy. Well, I guess you might say, but I do okay. I mean, I can't I can't deny that I've done okay over the years, but I'll try not to be stingy with it either. And I try to reinvest into my equipment and pay my employees good and that sort of stuff. So that's where I'm at. I mean, I've got most of the people that know me know I don't have a bunch of Corvettes. I have a couple of tools and couple of fancy things, I guess you might say, but I think I've deserved it. At my age, it's taken me all my life to get it. So there's a couple things I like, but nothing more than most people. I mean, I've got a Mustang over here that's, you know, uh, I got a 68 Mustang convertible. That's not a show car, but it's a nice car. And then I got my 31 coupe that I like, but I don't have boats or motorcycles or anything like that. We mainly just work around our house and yard and stuff like that. So that's, and you know, that's what we try to do. Now I'm going to try to keep up with the chats and everything. Heavy Wrench was in his last night and he was doing all he could do. He'd get 2 or 3 pages behind. I'm going to try to keep up with the chat. Well, let me know what y'all guys are doing. I should have remembered headphones. I didn't bring my headphones or I would have had other people on here, but all I will get is a feedback right now. If I try to do that, I think if I bring somebody else into the chat, I don't know. Heavy Wrench, were you wearing headphones last night? I couldn't remember, because if I turn up my sound, I think if I turn up my sound right now, I haven't even double checked. I believe I'll get a feedback. Let me hit my sound. Well, no, it's actually got mine muted. So I guess that's the way to be. I might can be able to bring somebody in if somebody wants to jump in here. Heavy Wrench, you want to jump in? Or Chris, you want to jump in? Ponka, any of you guys? I'll try to do that. I have never done this. So this is my first time with StreamYard. But if somebody wants to jump in, just raise your hand, give me your email address, and I'll try. Okay. Would it give me a feedback if I brought anybody in? Because I can't. I looked. I didn't. Mine's not on mute right now. But if I don't know if I bring somebody else in, if it will let them broadcast theirs without. Oh, so you're at the lake, so you hadn't got a good signal. Yeah, Chris, how is your signal? Okay, give me your email address, Heavy Wrench, and I'll bring you in. Okay, I see it now. All right, all right, guys, I got to set up here. I'm laying back here, so let me set up just a little bit, move the computer just a little bit without getting too much light in there, and I'll bring Heavy Wrench in here if I can. All right, let's see. Heavy Wrench, you may have to help me on this. Okay, how do I add? Okay, I'm going to do, here's a twofer. Let me see if I can do that. See if okay. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to do an invite. Okay, here's an invite. All right. Send this link to the guests. I'm trying to read and everything at the same time, guys. So bear with me here. I've got to send your link. Yes. Okay, I won't need to give you the instruction because Heavy Wrench knows how to get on. Let's see. All right. I copy this. Okay, copy to a clipboard. All right. I think. All right. I copied that from the clipboard. I guess that's the way I'm supposed to do it. In Heavy Wrench, I'm going to try to get you to help me at the same time here. Let me get I'm going to see if I can do a copy. Okay, I'm going to do. Guys, you're going to have to bear with me because I'm trying to do 2 things at one time here. I got to get on my email and do this and see if I can send this to Heavy Wrench. I don't have his email in here, so I'm going to have to, let me see if I can get the invite. So bear with me, guys. I am doing 2 things at the same time, and I don't know if it's going to work exactly right. So we'll, I'm trying to multitask here, I guess you might say. And let me go back out here and get Heavy Wrench's address and come. I think, all right, let me go out here and get his address. P Ballard 9700 at Gmail. Okay. Is that Ballard? Ballard? Yeah. Okay. P Ballard. All right. Now let me go back out here to my email. That's P Ballard 9700 at Gmail. I'm doing it on the same computer, guys, so I hope you understand. I'm going to try to send this to Heavy Wrench. Let me go back out here. I sent it, I think, Heavy Wrench. See if you can jump on here. See if you've got the link. I hope I did it right. If I didn't, yeah, I've got the. I'll probably have to do another one now. The burnt trucks are actually out of here. I've got the motors out here, but I hadn't. Let me see it. Am I supposed to see if you pop in here? Heavy Wrench, did you get my email? Yeah, Heavy Wrench, if you get my email, let me know. I'm trying to bring him in. He's a real interesting guy up there in good old Michigan, up there where there's a lot of controversy right now. Everybody's out there trying to get back to work, and I'm all about getting everybody back to work. I hope everybody, of course, if we're like Kevin has never slowed down a bit. He's out there probably working today. Well, I know he is. He said he's on I-40. So, I like to see the U.S. back working. I don't want it to slow down at all. Yeah. Okay. In the bottom left, you should see me. Okay. I haven't seen you yet. Let me see. I can see myself over there. Let me move the video around here a little bit, Heavy Wrench, and see if it jumps back in there. Okay. No, that's me. I don't want to remove me. I hadn't got an ad yet. Let me flip. There's a 2. If I can do a twofer. It's not showing it yet, Heavy Wrench. You did get the link, didn't you? These newfangled, okay, let me widen out the screen. Nope, it's still just showing. Let me see. There's the invite. I've already done the invite. All right. Do I need to send the invite again, Heavy Wrench? Now there I see somebody coming in. Yeah, there we go. We got you.
There we go.
Oh, good. And I can hear you too without it. I having to mute mine. So I can see Heavy Wrench in here. For everybody that doesn't know Heavy Wrench.
How y'all doing?
He's from up in Michigan, right?
That is right. I'm going to try to get my, I got to figure out my audio here real quick because on my end, it is, I just don't want to create any back feeds. So
no, you're doing fine.
There we go. What I do, Michael, is I've got a set of these headphones.
Right.
And they are super loud.
Right.
So I actually just set them on my desk.
Yeah.
Facing away from my microphone.
Right.
So they don't actually, so I can hear them, but the microphone can't, kind of the way I lay them out, but it works for me.
Yeah, it works great. Works great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if any other guys want to jump in, we can actually add more too. We'll explain.
Up to 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I can add some more if some more want to jump in here. Hey, Philip, I see you in here.
Yeah. The tough part is I have to click on live comments here, I think, and I can see. Yeah, I can see what's going on now.
All right. So everybody can ask me or Heavy Wrench. Now, Heavy Wrench primarily works on heavy equipment like the big dozers and John Deere equipment and everything else like that, right?
Yeah, I work on mainly construction equipment, bulldozers, backhoes, excavators, skid steers, dozer, everything under the sun that pushes dirt. That's pretty much what I specialize on. I do work on some paving equipment and milling equipment. I don't know if you see those all that often, but when they're out paving the roads, the rollers and all that happy stuff,
Yeah.
But
well, that's that's what I like to see. I mean, everybody getting back to work and working on heavy equipment, working on that's what us blue collar guys, and that's what most of the guys here on the channel are usually is blue collar guys, and I love having a conversation with everybody that's blue collar and all that sort of stuff. Hey, comfortable man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that on the wall. Yeah.
Now you were talking about that Ferris, and that's where you went to school.
I did go to Ferris State University. That's where I went to school. I got my associate's degree from there. It was a great program when I went through it. I think it's still a really good program, but I haven't really had it's been 20 years. So
yeah,
how do you know the state of the program? Without going back.
I used to give out a scholarship each year to in honor of my dad. My dad was a longtime truck driver too at Carolina Freight, and I used to give out a scholarship while they used to have a mechanics class at the local high school, and I would give a scholarship each year to Nashville Auto Diesel College. I used to give out $1,000 yearly scholarship to that, but then they did away with the mechanics class and really didn't have anybody to give it to. So I did that for about 25 years in honor of my dad, who was a truck driver and loved heavy equipment. My dad, he would have loved to have a mechanic like you down here to help him with his equipment, because dad was like it. And of course, my brother was a mechanic too, my oldest brother, and he and dad worked hand in hand a lot. But the heavy equipment part was always different. Trying to pull a bulldozer apart and put a clutch in and things like that, and rebuilding undercarriages, and that takes a special skill. It's a heavy man's work. I can tell you that.
It's a lot. You better
not be a little wimpy guy.
It's a lot of bull work, but cranes there's stuff that's, like them lifts behind you have made my life so much better.
Yeah.
Just for crawling under stuff and everything else, like I was telling MLH last night, I'm a little thicker than he is, from the back of my back to the belly button there. I'm a little thicker than he is. He can roll underneath them semis pretty nice. Where me, I'm all about throwing them lifts up.
I'm all for the thick side myself, as you can tell. I'm a little bit on the thick side.
I'm built for comfort, not speed.
People ask me a lot of times, so how much you weigh? I said, too plenty.
Exactly. Plenty of them.
I weigh too plenty because I have definitely I definitely am not I've been skinny. I used to be skinny 50 years ago when I was still in high school and everything else like that. But as you age and everything else, it's hard to keep it off. And you'll end up getting one more chin before long, probably.
I try to keep hiding it. All this gray has got it kind of hidden right now. So it's like my camouflage to the double. So
Well,
Um,
it will come. It will come with time. My extra chin didn't start falling in there to a few years ago, but that's something that'll come with age and sagging skin and everything else before long. But
yeah,
that's a sign of the times.
I
But
love it.
yeah,
What is Outcast? Outcast is asking who makes the best skid steer with 10,000-pound lift capacity. I
yeah.
really don't know.
Outcast is Chris. That's Chris Richards. He lives
Okay.
out in Kansas, out near Kansas, or near Dodge City, Kansas, is where he's from.
Well, I will have to say, who makes the best skid steer? What brands are you really looking at? Because who's the closest 2 or 3 dealers to you? And I guess I can narrow it down from there.
Well, I've got Bobcat. I've got Bobcat myself.
And
Now,
Bobcat makes a good skid steer.
yeah, and I've got the ones that don't have the DEF in it. So all my equipment is at least. I've got a T300 skid steer, and the track loader.
Yep.
And it's got the Kubota engine. Everyone I've got has got the Kubota, and then I've got a Traco, Bobcat Traco, and it's also got the Kubota. Well, all three of them do. And then I have a Tool Cat. Have you ever seen the Tool Cat?
Is that the one that's like it's like a utility vehicle that you sit in? It's got the front loader. You can put all sorts of attachments. Those are pretty cool.
They're real cool. My wife loves that. Because my wife and you can see it on the front of my page. If anybody goes to just my page, you'll see that my wife and I are standing out in front of our Tool Cat. And I was actually written up by the Bobcat magazine about 5 or 6 years ago. They did an interview of me and featured me in the magazine. Me and my wife.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. We bought several pieces of Bobcat over the years, and the Bobcat dealer asked me if I would do that, the Charlotte dealer, and so I said sure. And so they sent somebody to interview me, and we took a bunch of pictures, that sort of stuff. And it is a handy piece of equipment, and my wife literally loves that because she can get in it, drive it just like a car. It's got 4-wheel drive and it's articulating too, which is really neat. And that's the part that really helps out a lot is that articulating steering.
It's like a half little wheel loader and half like gator.
Yeah, it really is. And it's stronger than a gator.
Oh yeah, by far. But you sit in it like it's a 2-seater, right?
Right. It's a 2-seater, air conditioned.
So you and another person go around, you can move something. I can only imagine your honey-do list while you're in that thing. Like, I mean, it's right there. It's live and honey-do this, honey-do that. I mean, I could see it being very productive for you.
Yeah, or non-productive. Yeah.
I
better keep. Yeah, Chris is asking some questions.
Yeah, he's got 2 current skid steers. They're Bobcat. They have a new 10,000-pound lift one. But Cat, which is least expensive, is closest. And he has a super dependable machine that I can sit and run in all day. My big machine needs the case rebuilt. Sloppy. Yes. I like how his don't tear up the turf that bad. Yeah, yours don't. Your T300, I've been talking about that. If you're looking for a dependable skid steer, okay, you have Bobcat and Caterpillar. I don't know the specifics on them. I work on more JCB and John Deere skid steers. But Bobcat's always been a pretty solid machine. Their price point is very upper echelon. I guess. I mean, I've always heard that for not a giant company that makes giant machinery, their price point for their equipment is very, they are solid. I don't think you're going to go wrong with Bobcat. They have Kubota and Deutz engines that they're running. They're meeting emissions. 10,000-pound lift capacity. I know what the John Deere one looks like. It's almost I think it's a 90 horsepower unit. It's 90 some horsepower for the John Deere. And it's a phenomenal unit. It's huge. I mean, not physically, but it's pretty awesome. New Holland's an option, but they'd be my last choice. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say
New Holland right now, I don't think is, well, this is my own personal opinion. I've seen a lot of New Holland dealers go in and out over here in North Carolina, and they seem to be flakier. I'm going to say that. And I've heard of people having problems getting New Holland. And I actually have a New Holland tractor right here, and I can't get parts for certain things, and it's not that old. Well, I can if I go further off, but
yeah.
And so New Holland is not my favorite at this point, and they were bought out. Are they a French company now?
Well, New Holland is part of the CNH group, so it's Case, New Holland.
Okay,
they're all kind of
they're all tied together
because you had like the tractor industry was Agco, and that kind of was your White, Oliver, Alice Chalmers, all kind of merged, and then they went Agco, and now Massey Ferguson is in with that crowd, and Caterpillar ag tractors are in that same Agco category. Case New Holland is still kind of their own, but they're very similar projects. I don't see I don't know. It's New Holland's back in the day. I'm talking like the 80s and 90s. New Holland's and John Deere were together.
Yeah.
Like you had an LX 775 or so there were certain models that were exactly the same. Then they kind of went their own ways.
Yeah, I need to, now that you told me you got JCB, I need to get some advice on my telehandler is a JCB.
Okay. What do you got? What's the numbers on it?
It's an older one. I bought a used JCB telehandler that it looks like a turned around backhoe. That's what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's probably I'd say a 99, 2000 model, somewhere around that.
So it's more of a straight
it's 20 years old.
So it's a straight mast forklift, not really a telescoper.
No, it telescopes.
It telescopes.
It goes out 30. It goes out about 30 feet.
Okay.
And but I'm having hydraulic line problems all over on it. I bought it knowing that it had a few hydraulic leaks, but what he considered few was not the same as what I consider few.
Yeah, I just did boom hoses in a 66-footer. It's a 66-foot reach machine.
Wow.
And I just did all the boom hoses inside of it, and it's a job. It's a job to do them boom hoses and making sure they're perfect and right. And I can imagine you have like a 506.
I don't even know.
Because the way they do it is if it's a 6,000 pound, it'll be a 506.
No, it's a 11,000 pound.
So you probably got a 511, and you said 32 foot.
Yeah, something like a 32, 35 foot reach or something like that.
Yeah,
the reach is good. I mean, I love the reach on it, and I'm gonna probably try to find me some attachments for it. I'd like to put a bucket on it.
They do. Yeah, I might be able to find you a bucket if you send me a picture of the undercarriage. We might even have one sitting around the yard that they're trying to sell here.
Oh, I might have to make a trip to Michigan.
I'll just FedEx it to you. I know trucks. I can get a good deal on FedEx. So
I wish I could give you a good deal on my end of FedEx, but
if this guy named Michael Jones has a truck coming up here,
yeah,
I'll use it on Michael Jones Express and the FedEx truck. And
yeah, I wish they'd let me do that. I would be buying things all over the United States, but unfortunately, they're not too good on doing that.
The company I work for, we have a truck that's Parts Express is what we call them.
Yeah,
but he goes all through our whole state. He's a driver for us.
Right.
He goes from our branch in the top of Michigan to the middle, to the bottom, to the whole state. He covers the whole state. There's two trucks between the two trucks, they cover the whole state in one day. Okay. Wow. So I found a chainsaw on Facebook Marketplace that was blown up and broke, and it It was that big saw, and I called my buddy or one of our trainers, who's a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, this chainsaw's over by you. Would you mind, taking a look at it for me and letting me know?
I got to say it. Let me say a shout out to Ralph there. Ralph just got over Corona.
No way.
Oh yeah, he got over that about 2 weeks ago, I think. He lives out in California, and so I want to say a shout out to Ralph. Hope you're doing good, Ralph, and I hope you're getting your strength back. I know that Everyday Fleet Tech got it too, and he said it took him a while to get a little bit of strength back. So I want everybody to say hey to Ralph there, and hope you're doing good.
Yeah, I hope you're doing great, Ralph. I'm pulling for you. I pull for everybody. I don't want to ever see anybody not feel well. But hopefully you're doing good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joey wanted to know, JCB, the county highway, has a hydro excavator on wheels, spends more time in the yard, broke down with the JCB mobile repairman out there than in the street working. That must be the I think I actually did a video on the hydro dig that I'm waiting to hear how they work out, Joey. I'm still waiting on that. But as far as skid steers go, I would take the best one that the dealer has to really that's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned, is who's going to take care of it afterwards. Like you said, the JCB right there the guy's been working on it more than not. Well, if it is a machine problem, at least there's somebody there working on it with you and for you, right? I mean, is that kind of how you buy your trucks too, as far as like if you have a dealer that you trust and rely on their technicians or mechanics, whatever you want to call them, to do the warranty and get you back up and running? Is that kind of how you purchase trucks, Michael, I guess?
Well, I mean, we've got a pretty good sized maintenance shop. It's what we do. And we don't, what I have to do, I have done it a couple different ways. Now we have bought brand new trucks, and of course we buy good used trucks. And what I've tried to do when I buy used trucks, and which I just bought 5 last week, and I bought 5 2015s that have about 500,000 on them. I bought them. They're Walmart trucks is what they were. And that's the reason I like, Walmart maintains their equipment good. And so I knew their maintenance records would be good and I could get that. And plus they still had warranty on it. Walmart had the extended warranty on these trucks. So they had some warranty. And I had one that we actually took over to Clark Power, and they put a new one box on one of them for us. So that's $11,000 warranty I got.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get a few good things like that. So, you're between there's a balancing act on the trucking business, in my opinion. You can buy brand new if you feel like you can afford brand new, but your payments are going to be extremely high. Your maintenance is going to be low. Your payments are going to be high. And you run the risk of outspending what you're going to make. And so that's, the companies are only going to pay so much regardless of the type of equipment you have. So you got to balance out what maintenance can I afford to do and what time do I have to do it? And is it better for me to do the maintenance than pay the payment? For me, I know I'm going to have maintenance always. So I try to, like I said, balance it out. And I'll buy a few new ones every once in a while. Depends on the type run. If I've got a heavy run, one that's running night and day, I sometimes throw a brand new unit on something like that. But it's, you got to be able to stay in business. You got to be able to balance your money. And a lot of people say to me, it's, oh, you make the big bucks. Yes, I do. But I spend the big bucks. Most of them would choke a goat for what they realize that I spend. I mean, my payroll right now is I've got to come up with close to $65,000 per week in payroll.
Yeah.
My fuel cost, now that I bought these other trucks, I've got 6 new routes. Now that I've got that, my fuel cost per week is around $45,000. That's per week. Not per month, per week.
but your gross is millions, right? And you're making all this money. And
well,
yeah,
it is. I do gross in the millions per year, you know.
But yeah, like you're saying, everybody looks at that. Oh man, he's making bank. Well, he's spending bank too, because you do, like you said, payroll, I think, is the fastest way to get your business in trouble.
Yeah.
If you can't make your payroll, you will have no employees.
Yes.
That's always been my thing as far as whenever I've been working for people or whatever. If you can make my payroll, I'm good. I'll never have an issue coming to work for you or going the extra mile, because you've went the extra mile and made sure that my payroll is good.
Well, I'm one of the oldest contractors in the United States. I've been with FedEx 33 years, and there's not many that have been that long as a, current contractor. I used to know some of the others that had some of the same longevity. FedEx started, well, it was RPS when I first started, and when they first started, like I said, it was they started in 1985, and I came on with them in 1987. So they were only 2 years in existence when I came in, and that was a division of Roadway at that point, Roadway Trucking, and then it was spun off and into a company called Caliper, which was still owned by Roadway, but then they had the one that was FedEx Freight. At that time, they took over American Freightways, and there was one or two others, but they coupled all those together and made FedEx Freight. They changed us to FedEx Ground. They had FedEx Custom Critical, is the smaller trucks you see running around doing point to point, usually a lot of medical supplies. And that was old Roberts Express is what it was. But all that was owned by Roadway. And then when Roadway sold that to FedEx back in the late 90s, I think it was around 97, I think it was. It went over to FedEx, and then FedEx started letting us grow. We used to be held down to just 3 trucks. Well, so for a number of years there, from 87 until 90, probably about 97, 98, somewhere in there, I could only have 3. Then they let us go up to 5. And then that's where we were topped out. All you could have was 5 trucks.
Man.
And then they changed it, and they let us start buying other contractors. And then that's when I started growing. And I started buying out other contractors that wanted to get out. And then I bought out about 7 contractors, I think I've bought out over the years. And at different sizes. Some of them only had 1 or 2 trucks. Some of them had 3 or 4. This last one I bought out had 6. Stuff like that. So we've got all that coupled together, and I'm up to, gosh, I had to think how many trucks I got now on contract. I think it's close to 40 contracts. I've got about 50. I got about 55 trucks and 40 something. I had to have a lot of multiple spare trucks.
See, I thought you had, last night on my live stream, I said you probably have 1 truck for every year you are old.
Yeah, well, almost.
And your calls, you better, but now you got some coming in, and it'll be all good.
Well, I'd have to get another 18 trucks, I guess. I'm 68.
Well, you better get moving.
I better get moving. Yeah, I'm 68. I'll be 69 and next month I'll be 69 years old. I started in the trucking business in 1967. 1960. When I was still in high school.
That's what you said. That's awesome. The Cellcast projects, he's considered.
That's Chris Richards.
Chris. Okay. It's nice to meet you, Chris. I consider a new skid steer because I don't want to be a repairman. I'll be an operator for a couple of years before I become the mechanic. Okay. And then he's followed that up with, and the new stuff has DEF and all that emissions. Yes, I am far less scared of emissions if you follow your guidelines. I feel like if you run it hard and you don't let it idle all day, the emissions will be almost zero issue for you on.
Well, let me stop you right there. I know Chris for the past few years and how he runs.
Yep.
Don't get a
Not
dev.
a problem.
No, it'll be a problem for Chris. Chris and Ricky out there, they run hard. They're in a real dusty environment, which is another thing that hurts DEF a lot. I've seen.
Okay.
The dustier the system, I feel like the more problems you're going to have. I may be wrong on that, but
yeah, I've seen a gap in that with on the construction equipment, at least in general. They're running the same DEF pumps that you have on your trucks, the same pump unit. The injector is very similar as the trucking one. I've seen them on the Cummins mostly is what I've seen the DEF injector in the systems. But if you're looking at a pre-DEF with just that DPF filter, I don't know if you had a bunch of issues with them, where it was that stage where they went from tier 3 to IT4, where they just put a particulate filter and they didn't have DEF.
That system's worse. That's the worst system.
Yeah.
I had some 08, 09 trucks that had that. Don't get that year model. The construction equipment, I don't think got into that till about 12.
We had, I've said it a bunch of times. I appreciate all the truck mechanics and everybody that went through that stage and took the bumps and bruises and hard knocks and horrible stuff and gave us the information to kind of get around that in the construction industry. But I would say if you're looking at a skid steer, go either older or right to the DEF system. I'm not scared of DEF anymore. As long as you're running it, he says he doesn't idle, and I'll definitely check out. I have a paper that sits next to me that I write down channels now because we can't subscribe through chat anymore.
I didn't know they changed that.
Yeah, they took it out where you can't click on their name and actually subscribe while you're in the live stream.
Huh.
So I've got a sheet of paper that I write down stuff, and it is what it is. But yeah, I would say the DEF is not as scary because as long as you keep your DEF clean and don't let it sit around, you'll have less issues. Because that's the biggest couple of things that I've seen on construction. Now I do mostly Deere and JCB. So the Bobcats, I've worked on some older ones. I've not had to really get into the newer ones. That's where I've been.
Well, there's old Justin down there. Hey, Justin, how are you?
Oh, big pimping with his new service truck. The thing is so
hey, and I got to see it first.
Did you?
Oh yeah, it was in Charlotte. I was actually down here at Select Trucks picking up the trucks Monday, and they were loading his new truck, and I'd heard him describe it. I knew what would probably be there, and I looked over. I said, "Crap!" I said, "There's Justin's truck right there," and I walked up to the guy. He had a big orange Pete, I believe it was, and I asked him. I said, "Would you happen to be going to Cincinnati?" He said, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "I think that's my buddy's truck up there." Yeah. So he did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Justin, you want to jump in? If you want to jump in, I'll throw you on here. Now, don't be a potty mouth though. Not too bad now. Boy, that's trying to rein it in tough. If I say that, isn't it?
Yeah, you have use high quality DEF fluid. Absolutely, he's right on that. Yeah, there's a guy in here, heavy machinery. That guy right there, he is from Austria.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Yep.
I've actually become friends with him, and he's from Austria. Very cool dude. He's got a really cool Instagram that's not heavy machinery, but it's about heavy machinery.
Let me see if I can get. Justin says he'll get in here.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'd love to meet him.
Yeah. Justin's a pretty cool dude. But let me see. Justin, I don't have. Let me see if hold on. Let me double check. I think I got Justin's email on my list. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna put Mr. Sturgill on. Well, y'all just hang loose. Y'all can talk to Wrench here as I'm doing the emailing thing. So let me do that right quick and do
go ahead with your email.
Yeah, because I'm doing it on the same computer here. Whoops, I forgot to get the invite.
I want a machine that'll buy itself. I don't want a payment or a repair bill. You know, that is a big thing. When you get into, I've got some pictures of a DPF that actually, we don't know what happened to it. It was on a Cummins. It was on a mill, asphalt mill, and it actually like self-destructed and blew apart. Guy gave me the pieces from it. I didn't go out on the job, but he, you know, he showed me it, and it was crazy how I think it melted down. I think it was one of those meltdowns. But heavy machinery there, Patrick. You should throw your Instagram out there too. Joey Morrison, what do I absolutely not like working on? The nemesis of mine would be, I'm a big guy, and old skid steers are tight. They're small. I don't fit in them very well. So those would be my nemesis, is old skid steers. But
Justin, let me stop it. Put your email up if you don't mind, Justin. I don't have it. I got my new Mac Pro up here, and I don't have it on my email list for some reason or another. I went on there. Justin, if you don't mind putting your email up, I think I know it somewhat. I don't know if it's Justin Sturgill at gmail.com, but I couldn't find it just then. If you don't mind typing that in, Justin, I'll do a clip and a cut and paste. Okay, good. There it is. Oh, yahoo.com. Maybe that's the reason I couldn't find it. I was thinking he was with Gmail.
Good morning, Everyday Fleet Tech.
And he's in here too. Is he good?
Outcast projects, you want a payment instead of the repair bill. Yeah, that's something that's pretty good. Right now, I'm actually working on a road grader that the customer bought extended powertrain. And I've seen extended powertrain work out well, just like Michael said on the one truck that still got warranty. It's big money repairs when you get into final tier 4s and other stuff like that. And if you have the extended warranty and you do the proper maintenance and keep yourself in check with that, you are going to be in a very good place with the extended warranties. Oil samples are big. I know on Deere and Komatsu, and JCB hasn't really required them yet, but I'm sure they're looking down that road of every service. We do them at our facility all the time. Oil samples are huge. If you can take a good oil sample and buy the little pump so you can take oil samples at mid intervals and stuff like that, I don't think the oil samples are that much to have done, and they're definitely worth seeing something in the future coming. I would recommend them for everybody. The oil analysis type stuff is huge. When you start to see that little bit of metal, you can try to find a failure before it starts, before you end up having a real bad problem. The older, yeah, I would say you're right on the older units are much easier to get to the engine than these new ones. And the cabs up on the Bobcats. Yeah, the Bobcats sideways compared to it.
Yeah, Justin, I sent you the link. There's Ag Tech in here this morning.
Yeah, we're getting everybody back in, and we're doing good.
Yeah, we're getting the ones from last night back in here this morning. That's good.
Yeah, everybody's waking up, including me. It was pretty late last night. I don't know. It's crazy. These live streams are awesome. I love it when you get to interact with people and talk to different people and stuff like that.
Justin's going to have to change his link, his picture up here. He'll have his new Blue Beast out there that he's got.
Yeah, that thing's sweet.
Yeah, it really is nice looking piece.
Yeah, the new ones, the cabs pop up. The skid steers have gotten better, at least the Deere and the other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been good to work on skid steers lately. And the emission stuff, they're starting to finally they finally are starting to get to a point where all the emission stuff is in a package where, like, I posted on Instagram the whole SCR system. I pulled 2, 4, 6 bolts, the hood and about 6 bolts, and I exposed the whole engine with it's in the one big frame. So all that stuff is in one frame, kind of like on the trucks where they're underneath that panel on the right side of the truck, the passenger side, all the DPF and everything's right there.
Yeah, the place where it gets 1,800 degrees.
Absolutely.
Whew.
They put those on the top of the engines on construction equipment most of the time.
Wow.
So, you got a bunch of bolts in a frame that you can pull off one outlet from your turbo and then the hood, and that whole thing you can lift off with the crane and get it out of your way. So it takes you an hour or so, but in an hour or so you can get to the valve cover pretty easy.
Yeah, the bad thing about it is you have to have a pretty cold unit, bring it in real quick, stop it so it doesn't heat up too much, because if not, you're going to be waiting 2 or 3 hours to let it cool down.
Yeah, I've done them pretty warm before. And like I said, on the construction equipment, there's a big old 1/4-inch frame of angle iron and plate, and you can get bolts in the top of it where you're only touching that one clamp, and you can get a pair of welding gloves helps out.
I keep trying to see if Justin, are you, have you linked in yet? I haven't. I hope I got the link to you right. Did you get everything?
Sometimes it takes a minute.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Good morning. This live stream has messed up my routine. I didn't get to call MJ.
Yeah, that's right. See, I've been out at the dealership, and Joey got my number for the dealership for the Napa store. And I heard the phone ring a couple of weeks ago, and I heard the phone ring. I said, "Who the heck's calling?" I said, "Most people know that I'm closing on Sunday." And I didn't answer it the first time. And finally he came back on the chat and said, "Answer your phone." I looked, I said, "I don't recognize that number." I knew it was out of state. And I finally answered, and it was Joey. And he laughed about it and everything. He called me and wanted to harass me over the phone. Yeah. So that's what you get. We got a lot of great guys in here. I love these chats like this. And I like having multiple people on like this. I'm going to try to do this more often, because I think this is more interesting than just one person talking, because they can see a conversation between a couple of people, and hopefully knowledgeable people that can, help each other out here.
Yeah. And I like getting that different perspective, like I said, I'm talking more for the construction side of the industry to let, everybody kind of understand where I sit as far as being a mechanic. And, I like talking to owner operators like yourself, or
right.
You might not be an owner operator every day, but you're definitely an owner and you do operate, right?
I'm an owner operator night and day. I can tell you.
Have you punched out since the 60s?
Have I what now?
Have you ever punched out of a job?
Not a lot. Not a lot.
You punched in when you started your own business, and I don't think you punched out since, right?
Right. Yeah, especially since '87, I haven't punched out. That's for sure.
Okay, so since '87, you haven't punched the time clock out.
No. I've had multiple businesses, and see, I used to own an internet business too.
I know. I heard you say that. That was pretty.
Yeah, my son and I started an internet. My son's an electrical engineer. And when he got out of college back in '95, he and we started a ISP. In other words, we were the internet service provider. I got in it so quick that I used to have to go out and tell people about the internet, and they go, "What the heck is the internet?" They didn't know they didn't know. I was explaining www, and I was explaining how you surf. You think back in '95. In 95, there was not that much AOL. People had AOL, and they thought that was the internet, and that wasn't even the internet. And then Google wasn't even in existence then.
Yeah.
Google had not come about in 95. You have to think back how far how much has changed. And we were using Mosaic and Netscape was what you get on the internet with, and that kind of stuff. So we were having to show a lot of people how to get online and all kind of things.
I was in 8th grade in 95.
You were in the 8th grade.
8th grade.
Well, my son was graduating from college, so that's how old I am.
Hey, I gotta run for 1 second here.
Go ahead. I'm trying to get. Okay.
I gotta go make some decaf.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get. Okay, Justin gave me another email to go to because evidently that one didn't work. So I'm gonna throw that one up on here. Okay, send it to Just Turg 1981. Okay, Just Turg 1981 at gmail.com. All right, I will send it to that, Justin, and we'll try to get you on in just a second. Let me hit the invite button again and do that thing. I'm gonna do a new one on that. And guys, I hope everybody's enjoying the chat this morning. We've got we're putting guests on this morning. I got the StreamYard running as opposed to up and down with just me on YouTube, and I think it's more interesting that way. You were 5 years old in 95, were you? Yeah, that shows you what happens there. Okay, good.
Right. Sorry about that. Like I said,
now
my coffee.
Oh yeah. Now you're gonna have to tell everybody your name so they know you by your name.
My name is Phil.
Yep. All right.
My name is Phil. You can call me Phil. I might someday I might try to get Phil up there but yeah. I was trying to, when I first started this, I didn't know how it was gonna go.
Yeah. So
I just started with the heavy wrench and figured.
Well, that works great. I think heavy wrench works good. And,
I was telling MLH last night about it, and he's like, "Why'd you pick that?" I'm like, "Well, because it's kind of one of those things that a heavy wrench is kind of not a mechanic, not a technician, not trying to put a label on that and showing any echelon. We're all just I turn heavy wrenches is what I do. No different than you guys working on the truck side of it. But yeah, it's pretty good. Justin will probably because he was.
I tell you what, heavy wrench. I'm over here on my email now. Yep. Read off that email address for Justin again. It's JUSSTURG 1981.
Yep, 1981 at Gmail.
At Gmail.
Yeah,
yep. I want you to help me out on that, so I had to flip back and forth.
It's tough, and that's what happened to me last night. Is I couldn't put all of it together, and I'm like, "Geez, Louise."
Yeah, you might need two computers.
You almost do.
Yeah. Okay. I got JUSSTURG 1981 at gmail.com.
Absolutely. That's the one.
Come on.
Outcast Projects was 5 years old in 95.
Yeah, I know it.
Ag Tech graduated in 92. Navies Nova graduated in 90. I spent my first year as Chris Richards. It helped people get to know me. Mr. Michael did. Yes.
I tried to. I really enjoy this because I'm meeting so many different people and meeting so many people with different talents. I mean, we all have a different level of talent out there, and that's what really impresses me most of the time is the level of talent that you get from different people. And think about it. I mean, how many times have you gone somewhere? Like I said, how many people would love to be able to talk to a technician that works on JCB equipment and stuff like that? And instead you're having to talk to somebody at a store and a service writer and everything else. And you really don't get a firsthand knowledge of somebody actually knows something. A service writer is going to tell you what they want to tell you. A service writer is not the technician. And so many times I have gotten frustrated over the years because all I would do would get the the lingo of what the service writer wanted to tell me, instead of getting a, hey, I think I got just. Oh, here we go.
All right.
All right. Instead of getting hey, I think I got just. Oh, all right. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, Justin?
Now I'm on there.
Yep. Yeah, he's on here now.
Oh.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, Justin?
Now I'm on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the phone. I'm trying to. I was listening to the live stream to make sure I could get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's always the toughest part, isn't it?
Yeah, because I forgot how this worked, to be honest with you.
How many miles is on the truck now, Justin?
200.
Wow. So y'all went cruising in it then, did you?
Well, I've been driving it. My Chevy had a check engine light on it for whatever. For some reason, them Duramaxes eat glow plugs. Like they're must be the junkiest glow plug design I could ever think of. And so it's been on for a while. So I took it to get repaired. And also I had to wait for some parts because it burnt the left turn signal wiring harness up. Like it melted the bulb right into the wiring harness. I'm like, okay. So they were fixing it. So I've been driving it daily. And now that I put Enzo in it, he won't ride in the other truck. So I got to drive that.
Yeah, but he's going, Daddy. No, new truck.
Yeah, crane truck. He calls it the crane truck.
Crane truck.
Yeah, bring the crane truck home. So
that's what you do. You go ahead and spoil the children on the good stuff. They'll never get in that old piece of equipment ever again.
Yeah, you're right, Michael. But no, I've already went and fixed 2 trucks on the side of the road already in the first week. So
yours or somebody else's?
Mine.
Are you going to start doing it for other people too eventually?
The reason I bought it is because I'm the point of service for arm beds in Cincinnati, Dayton, and Columbus. So anytime they have any warranty work or anything like that, I'm going to be sent to do that. It's they're trying to streamline their manufacturing process, and what we kind of went back and forth on is they don't want to send one of their guys out that could be manufacturing beds, putting the beds on the truck to go do service calls. It costs a lot of money. Usually the guy has to spend the night somewhere, and they want them to come on Saturdays and Sundays and all that type of stuff. So that's
night. Yeah, probably come at night too, don't they?
Yeah, 4:00 in the morning. Typical stuff like that. So I think it's better just to outsource some of that stuff.
Yeah, if Arm's going to let you do that, and they'll help pay the payment on that truck, that was a good move for you.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think if I do one service call a month, those are anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. Well, that's really the payment, and then my stuff becomes free. That was my theory behind it.
Yeah. Yep. I guess you saw my note the other day. I saw that truck first. You put it out there, but I saw it first.
Yeah. Somebody else called me too when it was driving down the road. Guess they saw it and they sent me a picture on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's mine.
Yeah.
It's hard to miss.
Yeah, it is. That guy that picked it up, I was talking with him. He said, I've been doing this for 10 or 12 years or however long it was. And he says, I'm going to tell you, he said, that is the prettiest service truck I have ever loaded in my years of doing this. And he was impressed. And so when you impress the guy that does it all the time, I guess it was a pretty impressive truck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought about that truck for probably 8 months. Like it really started last year at the work truck show that I went to. And I really started looking around and I was like, man, one of these would be so nice to have, just because I got tired of heavy wrench. I don't know if do you go out in the field and do stuff, Phil?
I did for 6 years. And then I did for independent contractor for 5 years after that. I fixed all their stuff on the road, wherever it was.
Yeah.
So I've been in I've had a Kenworth with an auto crane body. I've had a Freightliner FL60 and FL70 with auto cranes on them. And there was a Stellar crane that another guy had at the shop. And now they went to some IMTs, some Liftmores. There's really not any. There's one guy that had a Pelfinger crane, and that was a pretty nice unit. Yeah,
I like the I started looking around, and I'm like, man, kind of all the boxes are really the same. I was like, man, this doesn't really do anything, but I like the Pelfinger crane, and the guy that I bought it from was very, he came down and we went through all of it. But, like laying one of those out is like, that's not easy. I mean, it took me 6 months of thinking okay, we need to have this, and this, and there. And then, I looked on pictures because I just got tired of you get those Snap-on bags when you get tools, you know what I'm saying? And it's it sucks to work out of one of those out of the back of a pickup truck. It's just not good.
Justin, there's one thing I did not see on it, and I don't know why you didn't have it. Where the hell was the refrigerator?
Well, I didn't put one in there, but I'm probably going to put one in the back seat on the floor, like one of those little plug-in coolers. I think that's probably what we're going to get. But then
that's what the 4 doors is for.
What?
That's what the 4 doors is for. I mean,
that's what the 4 doors.
Your Carhartts, your bibs, and your cooler for stuff when you're out in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just thought about it probably for some people they're going to think it's overkill, but the way I looked about it is hey, if I don't drive it that much and I'm the only one, I'm not going to abuse the thing because I paid for it. So, it's kind of like if we have it for 10 to 15 years, then that's a long-term investment in what I got going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if you've locked down that agreement with that truck body, then I think you're doing pretty good. Now, what was the name of that? I forgot. What's the name of that body company?
It's called American Road Machinery, ARM.
Okay, ARM. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're going to do that for them, that you can justify it. And I know there's a lot of people out there bad mouthing. You go, oh man, why'd you do this? Why you do that? But if you can justify, if the end is justified, which is what I think you've done, then it's okay. It's just like everything else. I mean, you go out and buy a brand new track hoe, you can spend $500,000 on a track hoe, and things like that. If you can make the money back, and that's the way that I do my business too. And we were talking about this earlier. This is why I blend in new and used equipment, because there's some of the runs that I've got I can't justify $185,000 truck on a run that's not going to create enough revenue. So mine is based on how much revenue will it make, how much service time am I going to have, and of course some of these trucks that I've got, like in Savannah, Georgia, and other places, how far is it away from me being able to get back and forth to it. So there's a lot of ways that you have to justify the end of what you do. Just same thing like a shop. I mean, here I am in my shop, and how did I justify spending this money, buying the land, building the shop, and doing all that for this? Because I knew that my rents and everything else would, take up so much, and I would rather build equity. So, that's what you're doing. You're building equity within your business. I mean, most people that have been around and seen Justin, and I've seen him. He had one truck when I started watching him.
Yeah, I did.
He was actually just the Snap-on Junkie when I first found him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what everybody knew him by until Snap-on says, "Quit doing that crap."
No, they got mad at me because I sold T-shirts with a logo that was close to theirs. I guess Snap-on owns. If you put Snap on anything, they own like the font and everything like that.
Yeah, they do. And that's one reason that I kind of got rid of mine too before I got a cease and desist. But I used to have Napa FedEx on mine too, and I tried to think trucking because I can tell about being a FedEx contractor, and I can tell about owning a Napa store. But just like you said, they own those brands. And if I were to slip up and have their logo or anything and did something against what they think, then they would come down heavy on me.
Yeah. So, well, here's what like just to like you were asking why Phil picked heavy wrench. Okay. Well, if Phil is, like you want to brand yourself to like what you do. Phil works on heavy equipment, so he's a heavy. You don't want to type out heavy equipment mechanic. That sounds kind of gay. But now he's building what you would call a heavy
say that now. You can't say gay on here now.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm saying? It would be a heavy wrench brand. He's really building that brand on YouTube. And, you could use it on Instagram and all that other type of stuff. So when you think about YouTube, like I kind of think about it as building a brand as me. And the more I thought about it and the bigger I got, I'm like, well, I'm just advertising for somebody else that doesn't really give a shit.
Right. And that's yeah. G-rated.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so I said we need to switch this.
But the amount of advertisement that you can give the wrong entity like that, I mean, there's no use building up. I mean, like Justin has a large channel, and the rest of us are smaller channels. But as we grow, we like to have people think, well, this is what I'm going to see each time. This is what I'm going to get each time when I click on his channel. And so that's what you've got to expect, and that's what you got to do. And I hope that everybody can understand what I'm about, what Phil's about, and what Justin's about. And I think all of us we've come into a community of people that have been on the YouTube for the past 5 or 6 years or whatever, and I haven't been broadcasting as much for the last couple, but I really enjoy it. And the way that today's broadcast is going, it is getting so splintered that we can actually take control of a lot of the media as opposed to CBS, NBC, MSNBC, and all these others. And if you'll notice, every single one of those entities are jumping onto YouTube because they're going, hey, there's people over here. There's a lot of people over here. And we need to put our brand out here. So we have been given the opportunity to put our brand out. And, some will make money. I'm not making any money. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for enjoyment because I enjoy, telling people what I do. And if I can help somebody, I will. I feel like I have a little bit of knowledge into the trucking business.
Yeah, I got a little bit too. Like, when you were going back and you were talking about revenue, so what I do is whatever the truck cost, okay, I know that I have to make 5 times that in its lifetime. I have them on a 5-year cycle. So that means each truck, if it costs $225,000, that truck has to make $225,000 in a 12-month period. Okay, that's kind of how I base it off of. And if we get close, like 210 or whatever, it's not the end of the world. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I kind of do. And I know in 5 years, we got to recycle this stuff out because in 5 years, it's really going to be wore out.
Yeah. And your equipment, even more so than mine, road tractors, you can have a little more longevity out of it because 50,000 miles on your truck is the equivalent of 500 on mine.
Yeah, it's a long way.
Because I mean, yours is constantly stop, start, lifting the lift, letting it down, tearing up the tarp. All these sort of things.
That word.
Don't even use that word, huh?
Yeah, that's my nemesis.
Yeah, I think somebody like Michael, a guy easy on brakes, could go forever miles, and Justin, your guy, a guy that's easy on brakes, can go what, 1/10 of that. Well,
easy on them. With the disc brake trucks, with the stock brake pads, not the aggressive, like longer lasting ones that you can get from Bendix. My best driver got 72 out of them.
Yeah.
And another driver got 40.
Yeah, and you're doing a brake job, and Michael's probably like 40,000 doing a brake job. I'd be changing something.
Yeah, that's like every other service. I
mean, it's ridiculous. We go through a ton of just breaks, and it's just because to be honest with you, the grindings, the trucks are overloaded all the time. There's nothing you can do. You can yell till you're blue in the face. It's not going to do you any good.
No.
Okay, Ohio DOT, you just look for those blue trucks.
Yeah. No, the DOT's already on me. Okay, I'm already in trouble. So, but that's another story. But like it's in my business, it's a little bit. It would be like if I had road tractors. I don't know if I really want to get into that. I don't know much about that industry. So like, I don't try to dive into things that I don't know that much about. There's no,
well, that's what everybody needs to do. My dad was in it for forever. I was raised in the trucking business. My dad drove 38 years for Carolina Freight Carriers here in Cherryville, where I live. And that's the hometown of Carolina Freight Carriers, is right here in this little small town that I live in. And, Dad did that. Dad was an owner operator for a while the Carolina Freight used to do lease operating before they were Teamsters. And then when they went Teamsters and everything, Dad just switched over to a company driver. And so that's all we knew as a family, and loved it. I always wanted to, you see what your dad does and you say, I love my dad. I want to be like my dad. And I went to college and took off and went to college, going to be an electrical engineer, and realized my skills were better as a truck driver. My skills were better. My skills were, power square, but big steering wheel was round for me.
And I was like, this is what I need to do right here. Yeah. That's it.
My dad was a plumber. All right. So we do nothing. And my mom worked for Procter & Gamble as like an executive. Okay. So I came from like, I knew like I went into the plumbing trade and I said, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
Like you took something from that plumbing trade with your dump truck. Everything's got to run downhill.
Yeah, that's true.
And think about all the hydraulics too. Everything's hydraulic. Your hydraulics help you out with the plumbing on that too. So your plumbing skills that your dad probably taught you probably came in handy a little bit, even though you didn't know it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say just more of being a nuts and bolts guy. That's where owning the trucks is just whatever you want to call it, a mean to the end. But, I like fixing things.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Blake. There's Blake jumping in there. Everybody knows Blake, I think.
I mean, Phil, do you some days, like, I don't know if I could work on the, like, heavy equipment because that shit's just so heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how old you are, but, man, even me at 40, when you start bending down and lifting all this stuff, you're like, I need a grunt.
Yeah, I'm 37. I'll be 38 shortly here.
Okay.
Yeah, I got underwear as old as y'all too.
Yeah, probably. But no,
I actually got I got a pair of boots. My wife looked at the other day. She says, "How long have you had those boots?" I said, "I got them in '71, I think." So I got a pair of steel-toe boots that are older than you two guys.
We could add up our experience together, Justin, and still not be able to touch Michael, I don't think.
Yeah, I know.
That's what age will do for you. That's what age will do for you. And that's why a lot of people ask me, why are you still doing this? I could be retired, but I saw what my dad did. And when my dad retired from Carolina Freight, what's the first thing he did? He went out and bought him a dump truck. He went out and he wanted to haul gravel. He wanted to stay involved, and he did that. And he did that. He actually had a heart attack pulling some heavy equipment. He was out lifting. My brother and him had actually built a trailer, and the ramps were huge on them, and he was out putting the ramps up, and I had a heart attack, and he lived 10 days after the heart attack, had another one, but we lost my dad that way, but he loved it till the day he died. He wanted to be involved with things like that. So I decided years ago, I'm not going to retire. Now I've said, some people say, well, why not? Well, I'm doing what I want to do. I buy things I want to buy. I buy things for my shop. I don't buy a lot for myself. My wife gets a few things she likes. Yeah, that goes along with the territory, guys. I will tell you that.
No, I know that rule. My wife gets whatever she wants.
Yeah,
she has to put up with me every day. So I figured, I'm already enough problems.
Yeah,
like so she asked for something. I'm like, yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. As far as the heavy lifting though and stuff like that, undercarriage, I've kind of gotten away from that with where I'm at with my career. I'm doing more technical diagnostics and major repairs versus busting tracks and doing undercarriage. Like swapping track pads, there's nothing more bulwark than doing tracks. I mean, it's like that's where you start out, and that's where you find out if you actually want to work on the stuff or not. If you can hang for a few years doing undercarriage, you can hang. But yeah, the heavy lifting stuff, the cranes we have in the shops now, the cranes we have on the service trucks. And have you ever used a crane on a truck like that before, or had that accessibility to you?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you are going to find so much stuff that you're going to be able to do with that crane that it's going to open up a whole world of endless possibilities for you. I guarantee it.
I mean, like when I started talking to them, I was like, well, I think I just need a lift gate. And the guy's like, no, I'm not selling you a lift gate. Yeah. He goes, because if you ever have to sell anything, it's worth nothing. He's like, you need to put a crane on it. He's like, you can crane the float tires up into the truck. He's like, he said, you want to get a crane because he says it has a million uses that you'll never know. And I bought the optional man basket. Have you seen that?
Yes, them are sweet.
I haven't. Now, what is that? Explain that.
Okay, so it's a man basket that jibs. It locks onto the edge of the crane, not on the winch.
Oh, so you can lift yourself up?
Yeah, so I can be in what they call a portable man basket, and it's like OSHA approved, and it came with like all this fall protection crap. And so you can jib yourself up on the edge of the crane 30 feet. You can go as high as the crane, and you can still lift stuff. So like, if you're at your house and you need to clean the gutters, you just drive the truck around the front yard and you.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it. I can see a honeydew truck there. Now the wife's going to go, hey, get that Milwaukee chainsaw out, trim these limbs over here, and we need to, like I said, clean out the gutters. And my wife would have me doing it, but you need to explain to your wife. So, well, the septic tank's back here, and I'll mess up your flower bed, and this thing will really rut down if you do that. So you can't get off cement.
I figured, for what that thing costs, I was like, yeah, just give it to me because you never know when you might need it. But
I think for that swear word that we kind of said, that TARP word.
Yeah. Yep. That's
that man basket, shoot yourself up.
Right.
Work on that motor. Work on that other side. That's going to be awesome for you.
Yeah, awesome. And like I wanted the crane too, because the more I thought about it, if the guys tear the tarps up, now I can just bungee it up, and those things are so heavy, and it would take like 3 of my guys to lift them up through the bed, and all this stuff. And now we can just have it on the ground, crane it right up, hook them up, and even doing sideboards.
Just don't let me hear the man in Cincinnati gets electrocuted from being on crane.
Yeah, no, I know where the power lines are. I've already paid to put them back up.
Yeah,
3 times. I know where they are. From people driving through the lot with the bed up. Not me, but other people.
Yeah, that's the scary part. Like headroom, like in your shop, if you can, like doing stuff on your trucks, I can see thousands of possibilities that you're going to end up using that crane for. It's going to be.
I thought you ever had to pull a hood off a truck to get the radiator out.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, we had to put a radiator in one yesterday. Last week. I mean, these new Cascadias, for some reason, they are crappy on the radiators and
Plastic.
What?
Plastic. It's all plastic. There's no
right. And that's what we're changing out. We're taking a lot of these radiators, and we got a radiator repair service in Charlotte called Bullock Radiator. Great guy, and he goes in and he gets me the newer type that's got more metal in it, and it's great. I mean, when you stand them side by side, you go, why did they go to this? Why did they go to all this plastic?
The engineers did want to. The accountants did.
That's really what I think it's all about. Is
if you talk to anybody in anything, like we give the engineers a hard time for designing it. Really, they want to design it. The accountants approve what they can put on all this stuff out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're counting nickels and dimes.
Yeah,
I was talking to one of my Napa reps just Friday, I believe it was, and they've got all the reps laid off for Napa right now. And he said, my biggest fear is that Napa corporate is going to look at this nationwide and go, well, we're doing pretty good without this rep, this rep, this rep, and this rep, and start eliminating those reps out in the field instead of growing the business. And I think we're going to see some of that coming back with this economy.
It's going to be a lean. It's going to be a lean employment time.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I don't want to cut you off, but when you're talking about that here, like my wife works for a pretty big company that has huge amount of office space, and all their people are working from home, and they're figuring out that, wow, we're getting just as much work done. Think about it. If we can save, how much does a building cost?
Yeah.
How much does a high-rise building cost to rent or own? Think about if you can eliminate 20% of those.
Right. And those things, and I'm not objectionable to that happening. And because of the fact that we can telecommute, and my son has been doing the exact same thing. He's an electrical engineer, and he works for Baldor, and he has been working from home most of this time too. He goes in, checks a few things at the plant, and then he comes back home, or a couple of days he just stayed at home. And you will find that happening as long as these people have the VPN that they can use, from their corporation and everything back to the home and that. And you're going to have certain people are going to say, hey, you're going to have high speed access, not dial-up speed access.
Yeah.
You can't have, even DSL is crappy. I have DSL at my home, but up here at my shop, I'm run off of my Wi-Fi off one of my phones, because I have a repeater and the tower is just a mile away. So I get a great signal here in my shop, but at my house, I get a crappy signal off of DSL. So, and those things are going to have to come about. And once we see that, I think there's going to be a tightening of a lot of purse strings. One, because everybody has lost millions and trillions of dollars with this thing going about, and it's still going to be going on. And the market has got to get back working, because what is scary is happening already is these meat processing plants closing down. And you're doing a lot of ag work and everything heavy. So Phil, I'll just call him Heavy Phil.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I think between the three of us, if we collectively put all three of us on the scales right now, we'd tip it close to 700 pounds, I believe.
Oh yeah. No.
Maybe not 8.
I'm bringing 3 to the table.
Oh God,
just so you know,
I'm bringing 240.
Me and Justin are the same size. I'm 236. Yeah. So So between the three of us, we ain't no slim boys out here.
No, we're built for comfort, not speed.
Yeah.
I'm like a diesel truck, once you get going, I need the old Jake to slow me down there, but you can't just roll the brakes.
Yeah.
Inertia and momentum. Once we get rolling, look out.
Yeah. I tell you, that's we definitely could do that. But most guys that and I get hit up for this all the time. People say, well, you need to watch your health. And see, I had to fuss at Justin. He's smoking over there, and he's gonna have to quit that one day because he's got two young boys that he's wanting to stick around for. I know. So one of these days, maybe he'll slow down on that. It took me a long time to get my brother to quit smoking, but he quit smoking. And I'm a big proponent. You want to be as old as me one day, Justin?
No, not really.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
I want to be as cool as you when I'm your age.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of cool stuff. I'm just saying, like, out of the three of us, if you die, you do have the most toys, so you win. But,
well, I will tell you this. My last year when I got that coupe for my birthday, I got that 31A model coupe with the 327, 375, and everything, and I took my grandson a ride in it, and he looked at it first. He said, "Oh yeah, I'll take a ride in and everything." And I went down the road and I stepped on it a little bit, and it has a good sound to it. And I came back with it and everything. And he looked at me. He said, "Papa, when you die, can I have this?" I said, "First off, you better talk to your grandmother about that. She may want to sell it instead of just give it away." I said, it's not the cheapest little toy around. So she may want to sell it and let you have something.
I'll tell you right now, she'll give it to him.
Well, she probably will. Yeah. If my son doesn't get jealous and he wants it.
I think grandkids will win every time.
Yeah, grandkids win. I'm gonna tell you right now, my mom will give her grandkids
anything.
I think I'm cut out of everything now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much just the in between for my parents to talk to my kids.
That's all I am. Like, hey, are they coming over today? Like, yeah, okay, just making sure. I need to see them.
Yeah, are you dropping them off and then leaving? Because that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah. I just hand her like, hey, here's the two kids, and I'm like, everything all right? Yep. See you later. I'm like, all right.
Now here's the things that will happen though. Once those kids turn 13, 14, 15 years old, it changes. The dynamics change. My grandson, he used to be all over everything. Hey, Papa, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. And we'll do all kind of things together. Now I see him. He's a young man now. And it's still that little high voice. Hey, Papa, let's do this. It's a, hey, yeah. His voice started to change. And I said, how was school? Fine. How was it? Fine. How's it going? Good. It changed from a big long sentence and everything else to one word, and then that's what happens when they turn to be a teenager. But it's still good. He's a good boy and real smart. So I'm still proud of him, and hopefully he'll turn into something better than Pawpaw one day.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what mess I'm leaving my kids. Do I really want to give them this?
Yeah.
Where are they going to be in 20 years?
Well,
that I got to deal with.
And I've done that too. And I've actually brought in a young couple to work with me and probably buy me out, within the next few years, start buying me out. Or it's pretty much a lot to buy. I mean, we've grown the business up to a pretty good size with the amount of trucks and the contracts I have. So it's a fairly expensive buyout, but I'm going to work with them because my son, he's an electrical engineer, and I don't want to bring him down from an electrical engineer down to managing trucks. So it's sort of the way I look at it. And of course, he keeps saying that if things don't work out good, he said I might have to learn to drive. But it is what it is, and it's good to have a lot of multiple skills and everything. I always want my son and my grandson to have multiple skills, and I'm trying to teach my grandson things at the Napa store and working at the shop and keeping him off video games right now. That's the hard thing.
Yeah,
he's big into video games.
And they all are.
Yeah.
Phil, where do you live at?
I live in Michigan, just north of Detroit.
Oh, okay. All right.
North of Detroit by about 35 miles, 36 miles.
That's only 4 or 5 hours away from me.
Yeah, we're fairly close. We had my boss that I worked for, we had a grain truck built, and we drove it down. It was 3-4 hours. I can't remember the name of the company though. It started with an H, but we had a 20-some foot aluminum body built for a grain truck on a 4-axle, dumped by somebody down that way. I can't think of the name. Heritage.
That's in Canton.
Is that in Canton? Okay.
Yeah, they're in Canton. They're like all the dump truck bed manufacturers are in Canton. So you have ARM, you have Heritage. There's an aluminum body manufacturer there too. There's Trailstar. They're all in like within 35 minutes of each other.
Yeah, we drove it down and it was an awesome bed. We had it put on. It would hold. Oh shoot, I can't remember the dimensions of it right now, but I could fit almost 900 bushel on that thing of corn. I mean, it was stupid heavy, like your normal 53-foot tandem hopper bottom trailer.
Yeah,
see, probably holds about 700 bushel. And if I packed that baby full, it was way. I couldn't even believe I had that much on it because we never waited, or we just went to the granary, and I'm like, oh my god.
How much did it weigh empty?
I don't remember. I'd have to look through some pictures. But with a 10-wheel pup behind me, I have one that I was at 140. I was at 140,000 with a 10-wheel pup.
Yeah, Michigan, you can have trains.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, Ohio, you can't have trains because there was guys coming down from Michigan last year to get salt, and they were loading them trains up 50 ton of salt at a time because they put 50 ton in the front and then 50 ton in the back. And I'm like, hey boys, you got a long way to go to get to Michigan before that's legal.
Yeah,
but actually there is a permit that we can buy to get to certain areas in Ohio, like Maumee and what's the other one right there across the border?
Toledo
and Maumee. We can actually buy a permit for Ohio to keep our weights good just to get to Anderson's or the two grain depots. And that's it. And then it's like on the way back, you can't haul anything. You have to be legal for Ohio on the way back.
Yeah, because you got loaded in Ohio.
Yeah, so but like the break apart doubles for us and for the guys in the ag industry, they're basically two quad axle trailers with a dolly in the middle, and they run that with the train, and they can get almost 2,000 bushel of grain and that's where you really start making money.
Yeah, because they probably get the rate beat down at a bushels. They think they weigh it by how many bushels it is.
Yeah, it goes off. They measure a certain amount of the grain, and then you get your test weight. So one load to the next load can be totally different depending on moisture content.
Yeah.
Your area doesn't really matter. You could have a truck half full and be overweight because your test weight's through the roof, or you could fill it right full, have light corn, and be way underweight.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Michigan, our roads are crap. There's no worse roads in the world. You
mean that sweet governor of yours won't pave the roads up there good? I think he is so likable and everything.
She fixed them, that's for sure. But you can tell when you get in Ohio, I could be sleeping and know when I get in Ohio. You go from that to, whoa, oh, we're in Ohio. This is
because I remember going up to Michigan. They had a lot of concrete roads, and they would get their concrete finishers were terrible. Like, like, dude, did somebody even grade this? I mean, what did they put it down with? You know,
they had three boys and a 2x4 out there. Is what they did. They screeded it off,
dude. And I know that they worked on from, I think, the Michigan line to Detroit. I think they had that tore up for like 10 years. It was, I don't even know if they still, I haven't been up there in so long. I don't even know if they fixed it.
On 75.
They still are?
Yep, in that area.
Now, how far up in Michigan are you, Bill?
I am, well, I'm north of Detroit by 35 miles. So,
well, I know
it'd be hour and a half.
Yeah, I was going to say you should be about an hour and 40 minutes probably from the border.
Yeah, it's not too horrible. I mean, getting down to like Cedar Point and stuff is like a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
Yeah, see, to get to Cedar Point from where I live is about 4 hours.
Yeah, I went to Ohio and I seen the prettiest part of Ohio. I think I went to Gradall School, which Gradall is in the southeastern corner.
Yeah, that'd be kind of down near West Virginia. Yes.
Yeah,
you would be in the hilly part.
I didn't realize I was in Ohio still when I was down there because I'm like, Ohio is so flat. It's so flat, and I'm like, where?
So you get to that corner.
This is crazy. Doesn't even look like Ohio.
Yeah, I know like Blake and those guys up in Blake lives in Columbus, and like he would spec a different dump truck than I would here because like one dude was like, dude, why do you get all this high horsepower stuff? I'm like, dude, we got hills here. They're like, what do you mean? And the guy's like, Ohio's flat, bud. I said, no. I was like, you go about 30 minutes south of freaking Columbus, it's hilly as shit. You know,
yeah.
like there's a mountain out in front of my shop that you got to climb, you know, on the highway. I mean, it's 5% grade for 2 miles. And it's just like in the southeastern part, I don't know if the glaciers ever got here or this is where they stopped pushing, but you know, but up there in Toledo, like it is completely flat.
Yeah, totally flat. And that's a great, in Michigan, we're kind of flat where I'm at, but at the same time, when you get up north, what we call up north, which is basically north of Saginaw, that would be where we start getting some hills and it's beautiful up there.
You're almost in Canada up there.
Yeah, I'm actually, that's my claim to fame. I live north of Canada.
That is right.
Detroit's north of Windsor on a map. So
yeah,
you go straight across there.
I always tell AgTech, I live north of Canada. It's cool. Don't worry.
They think you're an Eskimo then, don't they?
Yeah. But it's different living in Michigan.
Yeah. No, you got what is it? They got the neck part. There's one part of Michigan is over closer to Wisconsin, or is it the other way around? I can't.
We actually connect to Wisconsin, and that was the UP, and the UP is a different thing. If you had somebody from the UP on here, they'd call me a troll. And I live under the bridge, and you know that's just how it works. And if you go up north on a vacation, they call you a fudgy because Mackinac Island has fudge up there. So
you're all up to get fudge. The UP people are completely crazy. I went up there snowmobiling a couple times in UP, and I would call it Canadian Mexico. Okay, because that's kind of what it feels like. Because you're like, well, you guys are just like
that was funny because we took a Michigan history class and whatever, and there's the Michigan-Ohio War. You know, they kind of went through that where Toledo and down there by the southern part, they were fighting to keep that port for shipping and stuff.
Yeah.
And back in the day, they're like, we're going to give you this upper peninsula. You can have that, but Ohio gets this part. And I think that's why Michigan came to be where they are, is because it's like all that iron ore, copper, all that stuff that comes from up there, the lime that we get from, the UP, there's so much resource. The lumber, all that stuff came down to Detroit for the mills and stuff, and I think that's how Detroit became the Motor City as far as industry went.
Yeah, well, you get to thinking about all the natural resources that are developed or mined up there, or they have up there. A lot of people don't realize how we got these big industrial bases and everything, and even the steel mills from Pittsburgh and everything, because they were able to ship it down the river real easy, and the steel mills were built up in Pittsburgh, and that kind of thing is real interesting. And now we're going to see these same kind of migrations with all this stuff that's going on now, and everything else being torn down to a different level. And all these green tree people wanting stuff not running, they're getting their wish right now because all the carbon is way down. And if people want to see what the tree huggers would give us, this is what we would get if we had tree huggers ruling the world right now. And
I've been trying to talk to my bank about buying
oh, you got a mind fart.
No, text message. I've been trying to figure out how to hedge some oil here, like buy enough fuel for the year.
Yeah.
But your guys' fuel expense has got to be
phenomenal.
How many trucks do you got, Justin? 5?
I have 13.
You have 13. Holy shit, I'm way off on that then.
Yeah.
You just bought 5 or something, right?
What?
Did you just buy 5?
No, I had 10, and then I bought 3 more.
Okay, you bought 3. I don't know where
I bought 5. I bought 5 recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought 5.
I'm getting my I do pay attention, just not all the way apparently. But your guys' fuel bills have to be outrageous and ridiculous because,
I often tell Justin that I'll swap with him. I'll swap one week anytime.
Nope. Because my fuel delivered to me, I paid $1.59 a gallon delivered.
Shut up. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I've been trying to get my bank to give me like $100,000. And I was like, dude, I want to hedge some fuel. And they're like, well, why? And I'm like, well, if this stuff goes back up to about $3 a gallon and I bought it at $1.50, there's $250,000 right there.
Yeah. Fuel. Did you see where the Chinese have bought one of the oil fields out in Texas too?
No, because they're the only ones that got money right now.
Right. That's the problem. And that's the bad thing. And the government is going to have to step in on some of these things, not let the Chinese, now that they have ruined our economy, come back in here and swoop in here and start buying up things like that, because they know that oil market's going to be, big before long.
It could go back up to what it normally was.
Oh yeah.
Right now, I mean, if they were smart, they would still produce the same amount and just store it.
Well, they got ships offshore right now that are full that they can't even port right now. That's the problem. I mean, there's ships sitting in the sea right now that they need to dump and they can't. I mean, tankers loaded up.
And that's what Justin's trying to buy.
Yeah, I'm trying to buy a tanker.
You're trying to buy a tanker. Well, 100,000 won't get you a tanker. 100,000 wouldn't get you. I would hate to think what the value of a tanker would be. Probably, I don't know what, $40 million worth of fuel on it or something. I mean,
I was just trying to hedge my bets a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that would be a smart thing to do if they would let you do that. I guess they would have to borrow money. And you're talking about putting it into the oil futures.
Well, no, I'm talking about buying $100,000 fuel right now.
But where are you going to store $100,000 worth of fuel at? You have to buy how many tankers?
I was going to buy, I've been looking to buy empty 7,500 gallon fuel trucks.
Yeah.
And then just tell them, sit them out here in the back lot and buy, try to buy 8 of them and then just have them full of fuel at $1.59, $1.60. Yeah. And then when it goes up to $2.50 to $3.
You'll have a pump out there selling all the other truckers fuel.
Oh yeah, at $3 a gallon. Come and get you some.
Yeah.
Real accurate here. Okay.
Yeah.
Real, I'll be weighing that stuff. Like, okay, pull it on the scale, bud. Let me see how much you got. We'll go down to the 1/10 of a pound here.
Then you'll get those haters up there. Then they would shoot a hole in your fuel tank. Then you'd end up having to pay for a fuel spill cleanup, and then you'd lose everything.
Yeah, probably. I just don't understand why, like, I don't think people on YouTube really understand like business and growing and stuff, because I get so many people that just bash me, and I'm like, man, I don't really have to be doing this, like kind of showing you how I do it. I'm not saying it's the right way, and I'm not saying it's the wrong way. This is what works for me,
And I think that's a good thing, because we all differ. I mean, I buy my trucks the way I want to buy mine. Justin buys his. Justin's, got a few years under his belt. He saw what cost him a lot, what's not cost him a lot. And you have to measure the amount of time and effort you wanted to put to each way you want to operate that business. Now, it's not to say this one's right and this one's wrong, because you can do the exact same thing and do it differently and both be successful. But you better know how to manage that money. That's the key to it.
Yeah, trucking business is really about cash flow, Michael, more than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
It's more consistency than anything else. You ain't going to make $1 billion doing this, but as long as you can keep your head above water, that's really all you're looking to do.
It's a slow grind, right?
Yes, it's every day you make a nickel, but the days that you lose $1, that's when you got big problems.
Yeah. And it looks like as far as both of you guys, for being the successes that you've been, the reinvestment portion that you've both done in your companies, right? Buying new trucks, buying more trucks, buying out companies, reinvesting in yourself, I think has been the key to both of your successes at this point.
I think one thing, we're both growing, and I've continued to grow, and you grow at a pace that you feel like's affordable. And don't overextend yourself. I mean, you'll get some tight situations. I mean, I didn't even though I bought used trucks this last week, but I bought 5 of them, and it still wasn't cheap. I can tell you that. Five fairly new used trucks for me, it wasn't cheap, and we have to, and we realize that we're going to do that. Then I'm going to bring them back to the shop. And then I'm gonna refurbish what they don't originally do. I mean, most of these guys, they go out and they buy something nice and shiny. And I started to do a video because out of the 5 that I got, one of them had been detailed. The other 4, I request for them not to detail my trucks. I want to find them raw. I want to find out exactly what's going on. I don't want to see all that black paint all over all these trucks, and it looks like a brand daggum new 2020. I mean, I know it's not a 2020, and it ain't going to take me 15 hours to find out when you put that sucker on the road and you pop a hose and you brake chamber's bad or whatever. And, things that so many of these young people get involved with, they go out and they go to the dealerships and they will try to, buy these trucks and say, oh man, this thing looks like a brand new and this one's great. I think I'll be fine. Well, I think I may do a video on that because I have that example because they went ahead and I'd seen this truck before it was detailed, and I hadn't finished the deal because I was working on the purchase of the contractor. So I had kind of had them strung out a little bit, but they held out 4 of the trucks and didn't detail them. One of them, they went ahead and detailed thinking, well, maybe he's not going to get these. And so they went ahead and sent it to the detailer. But I need to do a video and show everybody the difference of detailing, not detailing, and what you got to look for, because, rust is the big thing, but rust is a killer. It doesn't happen as bad down here, but if I get a truck that I don't know where it came from, I mean, they can detail one out and it looks like it came from South Carolina and it came from Michigan. There's a big difference between a Michigan truck and a North Carolina truck.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if you get on a Michigan truck, the worst part about a Michigan truck is our double frames.
Yeah.
When they get older, that salt gets between them double frames. And I think it's gotten better. But I've seen trucks where the frame rails, when they're over top of it, just peel off of the double frame, and you can't, because the rust got between there, and just, whether it froze or whatever happened, but it'll peel that steel of that frame right off.
Yeah, you can't bend that steel with. It takes about 100-ton press to bend that stuff.
Yeah, it's insane, and rust is like the strongest thing in the world. And we see, with having 2 salt mines right underneath Detroit, we are like right in the thick of it all, I think.
Yeah, well, also you gotta I paid my trucks all come galvanized, and then they paint them. So I pay the extra money for the galvanate, whatever. We'll see if it works 5 years down the road. Who knows? You don't really know till you try a bunch of different stuff.
No, and that's a risk you're taking. That's pretty substantial too, because I'm sure it's not cheap.
Hey, Yoda Doug, he jumped in here.
Yeah, no, like when Michael was talking about, or Phil, when you were talking about like reinvesting into your company, I'm a big proponent of that. Like me and my wife could have, we could have a lake house and a boat and all this wazoo stuff, and there's some guys in the trucking business that do that. They go out and they think that they're going to be rich, and those are the guys that are not going to be around very long. When you look at business, luckily I was fortunate enough I worked for some pretty successful business guys when I was drag racing. I watched, you don't really, when you're there, you don't really notice the techniques that they use, but when you start running your own thing and you watch how they invested and built their bigger companies, and you talk to them over dinner every once in a while, they give you insight into, how to reinvest into yourself. And they talk about, I remember we went and met Rick Hendrick one time, and he talked for 30 minutes about how he does business. And it was absolutely I still remember the things that he said, just because it's man, this is Rick Hendrick. This guy's a legend out here,
Yeah.
Rick's a nice guy. He and I are about the same age.
Yeah. No, he's just, but how he talked about, I hire people to do a job, and my job as the owner of this company is to give you tools to be successful. If you want to buy a product or you want to buy this, you have to justify why it's going to be better to me. And then either you can do the job that I hired you to do, or you can't. There's no in between. There's no let's work on it or whatever like that. Either you're, going to do the job that I hired you to do, or I'm not going to micromanage you, and that's kind of one of the things that I took as the most important thing. Well, man, yeah, everybody here looks like they're having a great time, and some of the people have been here a really long time. So maybe what he's saying is important, and that's kind of how I run my stuff. I reinvest every dollar we make back into something else.
Yeah.
And another thing too, I tell people I'm actually running an adult daycare.
Yeah. That's what I'm running.
Because we have to deal, I've got 50 some employees, and we have to deal with their personal problems. I had to deal with one this morning. I had a driver, he wanted it his way, but he didn't realize, well, you were called to work, and these times you want off, don't jump over here and say I can't work because now I've decided to do this. We're dependent on you to work. So we're running a daycare system in some ways because it is tough micromanaging employees. Now I have a good crew. I don't micromanage a lot of them, but usually it's about 10% of the people take up 90% of my time.
Yep.
It's about what happens to me. And that's the tough part of, The other 90% of the people do their job right. It's just that 10% that you will get that will drive you crazy, and makes you reevaluate what you want to do sometimes. But you get through it, and you just try to, like I said, keep the employees happy. I pay good, and that's the key to a big business too. I learned that from the guy that owned Carolina Freight. I interviewed him years ago, back in the 70s, and he told me a couple of good things. And this is the guy that started Carolina Freight, and he grew it into the number 4 transportation business in the United States before ABF bought him out. And right here, like I said, from my little hometown of Cherryville, and it's you look at things like that, and I've tried to emulate what he did over things with the equipment. He bought a certain amount of new equipment. He bought a certain amount of used equipment. He had a shop to maintain, so he would reman a lot of different things, and it's a balancing act. I mean, he was a large enough corporation. He could have gone out and bought all brand new every time, but he didn't, because he micromanaged enough within his shop to say, well, I keep the shop busy, 24 hours a day. I keep the trucks rolling 24 hours a day. Here's how I'm going to do it. And here's where you make the money on that. And he was really good at it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been struggling with hiring a mechanic like full time, but I can't justify what to pay them yet, because as me, I'm not a people person. Like, I hate doing the hiring. I hate doing the HR stuff. I hate it. I'm not good at this. And it's almost like I need somebody to do that type of work, and me just be the grunt on the ground. I think this place would run a lot smoother, like in the long run, if that's the direction that I went. Because I'm not a people person. I'm not.
Yeah, it's a tough road to hoe, because I'm the same way too. And I try to be as nice as I can. I try to be as even keeled as I can, but don't cross me. Don't cross me. Then you see the flames come out then, and I will kick butt. I've had a guy the other day that did something crazy, and I got on to him, and he called my young partner and everything. He said, "Oh, so-and-so did this and this and this." And he said, he might quit. I said, "Let him." He said, "Well, we don't want to let him quit." I said, "If he doesn't listen to me exactly what I said, I will replace him." I said, "I'm giving him the option, but don't go out there and tear up my equipment. And then when I question what you did, and when I question about your ability of not, or your inability of not doing a safe job, then, I've got problems with you." And because I have, we are big on safety. I mean, that's the reason FedEx has made us go to these forward facing cameras and all these cameras. We got all the radar system. And I understand, because FedEx is a huge billboard out there, and these wrecks, it's unbelievable how they get sued.
The last thing that FedEx wants to see is on CNN or the nightly news, their placard in a 5-car pileup blamed on the trucker, right? That they have a what do you call that? A
PR nightmare at that point.
Yeah, PR nightmare for them to fix. So I mean, I completely understand that. And I think I have some guys that were they were so mad that they were putting GPS in these trucks, and they're going to be tracking us and all this stuff. And when the GPS is in their favor, like, the 3 times that we've had a question and it's been in their favor, I'm like, you could have lost this before. Now this thing don't lie.
Well, we got the same issue with these cameras. I mean, we had a very bad accident that was not our fault, thank goodness. But had we not had the cameras in there, and it shown that the other person was 100% at fault, and we actually had the camera footage to show the highway patrol before the highway patrol even got there at the accident. We were close enough; it happened close enough in, and it was bam. It ruled it right our way. And to give you a for instance on this, had we not had the cameras, from where the equipment landed, it could have looked like we were on the other side of the road.
Yeah,
but we weren't. And it was a head-on collision is what it was. And the guy had passed 2 or 3 cars and couldn't get back, and boom, hit our truck head on. And so it would have looked bad. And then when the vehicles hit, it went across the road because our steering was hit in the left corner. So it jacked that truck to the left and over and into the ditch and everything else. So, people don't think about those things. They don't think about stuff like that. I'm going to give you another situation. We just had this to happen this week. Kind of humorous, but not humorous. We had a driver that rear-ended another tractor trailer about 3 years ago. Okay, he was bobtailing. Our guy was bobtailing, and I don't know if he dozed off. What happened? Anyway, the traffic stopped. He didn't get stopped. He rear-ended a tractor trailer on I-85 down here. Well, I was close enough to it, so I ran on over there and saw the accident, got our tow truck out and had our guy ready to go. Did no damage. It hit that rear bumper on the truck and a trailer. I mean, no damage whatsoever to their other unit. The driver, he was standing up there in the highway patrol talking to him. I talked to him. Oh yeah, I'm fine. No problem. 3 years later, now he has got neck problems. He had rotator cuff problems, and he said he got tossed around all inside the truck and all this sort of stuff. And here's the kicker: his wife is suing us too. Guess what for?
Emotional distress.
No, their sex life has been changed. She's suing for $25,000. I told him, I said, they need to send me the dadgum picture if she's worth $25,000. Read this.
Yeah, like let me get a piece of it for 20.
Yeah, no, probably not.
The best escort in Vegas is half that price.
Yeah,
for the weekend.
but because I want to see a picture. I bet you there's other reasons he didn't have any sex with her.
Yeah. No. I mean,
that guy's been riding up and down this interstate and seeing all these billboards from these lawyers that says, "Call me if you've been involved with a tractor trailer accident." And because they're getting all these ambulance chasing lawyers are all over the place now. And that actually happened to me. Of course, they're taking care of it. I mean, it's stupid. He waited to the last day of the filing. The statute of limitations was going to go out that day, so he filed it that day. Thinking, oh well, they'll pay me. We won't get any. There won't be any problem here, and all that sort of stuff. So it's crazy, but
crazy.
That's what you get out there. I mean, we're in a sue mentality out there with the public. So once you have a business that's any size at all, you've got to safeguard yourself a lot. I mean, we were talking about expenses. Insurance is out the roof now. I mean, I don't know what yours is per truck, but gosh, I would say if I had to guess, I would say Justin's insurance, 13 trucks, you're looking at anywhere from 130 to 150,000 per year for what you're running right now.
I'm a little less than that.
Well, you got good rates then.
I'm about $100,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky.
It's about $10,000 a month.
That's crazy.
And we've only had really one accident that was rolling over the Western Star. Other than that, we have not rear-ended anything. We have not tore anything up. Things like that.
Two-party stuff is what will really eat you up in the insurance. Once you have a two-party wreck like that, I mean, if you tear up one piece of your equipment, they kind of, cut you a little bit slack a little bit, but they'll jack your rates. But if you end up having a bodily claim or something, they'll get you.
Yeah, or they'll cancel you.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I'm on pretty good rates because I have newer equipment that also, for some reason, the rates are a little bit cheaper on newer equipment than older equipment for some reason. They really take into consideration. I don't understand why. I mean, that's what my insurance guy told me. I was like,
well, you've got a lot of those safety features like disc brakes, and you've got a more reliable unit. Once that unit ages a little bit, they're going to think that it has less of a maintenance, more of a maintenance problem, and that's what you get into. And we were talking about that wreck a while ago. One thing they will tell you when there's a wreck of that magnitude, they will go over it with a fine tooth comb. They towed the entire unit up to Hickory, and the State Highway Patrol got all over it. They took the ECM out of the truck. They took the cameras out of the truck. They checked the brakes on the truck, the trailers, the tire depth, everything that you could think of with safety. And we were not even at fault, but they wanted to make sure that we were 100% right. Now, that had we been at fault, I don't even know how bad it would have been.
they would have been worse.
Yeah.
They would have found something.
And that's the tough part I have doing DOT inspections for people. You know, like when I do a DOT inspection,
You're doing the DOT inspection.
I am ruthless. I don't care if you got a tire that's doesn't have the tread depth that it should. It's wrote down on your DOT as a fixable repair. Then all you have to do is fix it and repair it. But at the same time, I'm not going to let anything slip by because that accident
back on you.
My name's on that cab card saying he just inspected it. If they find something, now it's not just you. They're going to look at me and be like, "Hey,
They'll pull your DOT inspection thing."
yeah." And that's like
about $100 or whatever you get for those. And think about it, if you do 10 of those a month, that's that's over $1,000. You're like, I'm not taking my risk for that.
For the amount of money that I can get from doing one of those, it's not worth skipping something, or letting them know that, like kingpins are a big thing, right? You check the kingpins, there's a little bit of play. Well, a little bit of play in my mind is not unsafe. But at the same time, I'll put slight wear in left kingpin or something like that on the inspection sheet. So that way it's not a repair that you have to do, but it's noted. So if something like that happens and they find wear, they're not like, "Hey, you missed that," or something like that. So it's not nothing that'll shut you down, but it's definitely the inspection is key, because I do still carry all my truck certs that I had from when I was at a truck shop, and I don't particularly like working on trucks at all. Like I made good money on flat rate doing it, but not for me.
A lot of the truck shops around here are not on flat rate; they're on an hourly system, and
that changed here too a while ago. But when I was there, it was flat rate, and it was.
Well, they were running them through there for you, weren't they?
Yeah. See, like I kind of don't like the flat rate system, not because I think it screws the mechanic. I think it induces mistakes. I think it induces shortcuts, and I would rather pay a little bit more. If it was an extra half an hour to an hour. I mean, that $150 to get it right is well worth the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think that they need to take a better look at that system, but I understand why they do it. Like right now the dealerships are slow, right? Like I went in to get my Chevy fixed, and you can see all the mechanics, they're all like hanging out in one dude's bay, just goofing off. And, as running a dealership, if you were the general manager, you walk back here and see that, like, oh, what, you guys are screwing around. But it's kind of like I blame it more on the people. There's going to be one guy that won't screw around, but there's always going to be 5 or 6 of them that goof off. And like when truck drivers come in here, I pay off percentage, and a lot of people get upset about that instead of a flat hourly rate. or like you get paid from the time you turn the truck on to the time you turn the truck off. And it's like, well, hey, let's be fair here. If you were on a tonnage job, okay, and you decide to dick off and only haul 2 loads to where everybody else hauled 6 loads, well, now you really, really it costs me money to employ you. And that's not how a business is run here, bud. So there has to be some give and take. And that's kind of the way that I look at the flat rate system. I realize why they do it. They really need to take a better look at that.
They do. Like for like construction equipment, we have suggested times or whatever, or warranty times that they put to us. Like I think the transmission I pulled on that road grader, I think it said it paid, or it would be 50, estimated time was 55 hours to R&R the trans. That's John Deere's like estimated time just to pull it out of the grader and put it back in. And then they gave you another.
And that's not even the repair on the transmission.
No, that's if I have a reman sitting there.
Oh,
like, if I have a reman trans sitting there, I just swap it out and go. And I'm like, man, that's going to be a big job. Well, it is a big job. I pulled the hood and everything. It's crazy how much it took. It took me actually to pull the bell housing bolts and the trans itself. Once everything was out of the way and off, it was about, I think it was a 10-minute real video that I took that it took me once everything was loose and back to pull it actually out of there. Like it was maybe an hour to pull the whole bell housing bolts and all that stuff to get it out. But getting everything else off took me 2 days, 2.5 days to get it off, to get it.
And then now you get see it to put it all back on.
Yeah. And now I got a pile of panels and bags of bolts everywhere. I'm like,
how much is going to be in a bag sitting off to the side that you don't put back?
Zero. Zero. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 panel bolts that are down in a belly pan somewhere that are going to be brand new on the outside, but that's about it.
Yeah, you got to pull the bolts back. Like, wow, look at all these.
Yeah.
But
that guy's going to be running around. And he goes, I hear this little jingle down in my machine. What is that? Oh, so that's one of those new bell systems we put in there.
Just don't worry about that.
Loose bolts in the belly pan.
That is a side panel bolt down there, bud. It should be there. If you ever pull the belly pan, you can get them. But
see that brand new one right there? Yeah, that was where that one's supposed to go because I couldn't fish it with the magnet.
I mean, like if I was going to be a heavy duty or I probably would not work in the car industry. I would either pick diesel trucks or equipment because I think the equipment time is you get paid a lot more.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is like working on the equipment. Hydraulic systems are like hydraulics and electrical stuff has been the biggest 2 things to work on for diagnosis. I mean, you start diagnosing some of these excavators and mills and pavers, and it's crazy how much electrical over hydraulic there is now. So you have to almost be that mindset of figuring it all out. I stare at schematics more than I stare at the machine half the time.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know that I remember 2 years ago, the company I worked for, they bought a big 12-foot mill, and the first year it worked perfect. The second year, it would not mill at full speed. And they're like, well, over the winter, we put all new hydraulic hoses on it because it kept blowing them. And I'm like, well, I can tell you right now, somebody's got a hydraulic line that's supposed to be a return or a feed.
Yeah,
and
something
is messed up because the engine wouldn't even stay running. It would just bog down. And I'm like, this is a hydraulic problem. And I'm going to tell you, they worked on that thing for half the year till finally somebody figured it out. And it was just a line went into the wrong fitting.
And that's it. And I had a control valve out of a backhoe, and it was loading the pump up and just bogging it down, kind of like you're saying. And they had the control valve out, the customer did. They had it rebuilt at a place. And it just, as soon as you'd hit 900 PSI on the steering backhoe bucket, it didn't matter. 900 PSI, it'd shoot right to 3,400 PSI and stay there. And that pump would just load the engine. I mean, there was black smoke coming out of the pipe that was loading down. I tried to figure it out, and I was on the phone with John Deere diagnosing it and saying, hey, this is what my pump's doing. And they were like, you're nuts, because I had a hose and 2 shutoff valves in the middle of the line that feeds the pump to tell it to go into stroke. And I would shut that off, try to see if the pump would come back to neutral. It would. And then as soon as I'd load it up, I could dump it off of that T. And then as soon as the pressure would come down on that pump, it'd be perfect again. So I ended up going through it, and I found a pressure compensator with an orifice the size of those little fluke test leads that you can probe with. That's how big this little hole was in that compensator, and it was in backwards. I flipped it around, looked at the schematic, figured it out, flipped it around, put it back in, put the whole machine back together. It's perfect.
Just by one. That's what I'm saying. It's just one thing, and you're like, you're going to beat your head in the dirt. Like when you were talking about that DEF stuff, like I get guys all the time, you got to delete your stuff. That DEF fluid is garbage. And I said, listen, I have all my 10 trucks have DEF on it. We have not had one problem. And the main reason is because that's just like anything else. You have to respect that and maintain it, just like you're maintaining your tires, coolant. I regen my trucks once a month. I plug them in the computer and just manually regen them. And I believe, and I've run high quality. I like the Peak Blue Def. I think it's the best stuff. I run high quality DEF fluid. I'm not buying that junk from like, a lot of guys will buy it from, Fleet and Farm or Tractor Supply. I'm like, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're getting. And they buy it at the pump from the Petro. I still don't believe that it's not going to be the good stuff. You have to control what goes in there. Just like anything else.
Keeping that DEF cycled, it has a shelf life once you open that tote.
Yep.
And evaporation is the worst thing for it. I had a truck come in the other day. It was Kenworth with a Cummins in it, and it had 2 codes that were inactive, and they were both for NOx levels. And one was NOx level, one was differential pressure. And down in Insight, you could read, it said both of them had high level of DEF pooling could cause this. Okay, so I threw them jacks that are behind Michael there. I put it up on them lifts because I'm thicker than most. I pulled the dosing nozzle, and the whole end of the dosing nozzle was full of DEF crystallized.
Yeah,
it was plugged almost, where you could see it was hitting that and pooling up in the bottom. I cleaned that out, put it back in, and cleared the code. Sent the truck on the way. Now the truck's a lowboy truck for our company, so I've got very good control over hearing about it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a customer like, Michael, where it's going to be going way away, and maybe have a problem a state away. This is very controlled to close to my area. So that day he's like, no, everything's been good. Everything's been good, and it was just cleaning that dosing nozzle. And that truck's probably 5 years old now, I think.
I know that, like after the 2017 engines, even the dealership said, man, we've had way less problems because they cut the system in half and they got rid of half the sensors, and it's been a lot better. And like the way that I tried to explain it to people is, think about this. The EPA changed the rules so fast, engineers couldn't fix the problems that they had. So if you give a guy enough time, you throw enough money and problems at it, us 3 could fix anything. Like we could get a rocket to the moon if we had unlimited budgets, but and the same way, eventually they will get it to where it runs the same and you have zero problems out of it.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen too, because we had a Kenworth at that place I worked at that was just had a DPF on it, and it was every 100,000 miles we were doing a EGR cooler. It was cracking and causing issues, and that was an expensive repair. Every 100,000 miles, you're not getting, and that truck was an over the road truck, so he was, but it it got to be an issue. Once we got DEF, and that it started to become less and less of an issue with problems. Now, when you do have a problem with DEF, it can be very difficult to find. You got to really do your homework and know it.
Yeah, we've had to do some work on some of the DEF systems, and we've had to change out the pumps, we've had to change out the sensors, and they're on both sides of the truck too. That's a problem. So you got the burner over here, and you got the pumps over here, and all that sort of stuff. And you could have the sensors are one thing that'll just drive you crazy. And but every once in a while you'll have a pump that's not pumping enough DEF through there, and then that activates the sensor saying that you're not getting enough particulates burnt and all that sort of stuff. So it can be a nightmare. And some of the guys were in there talking about deleting these things. I can't delete them because of my situation I'm on with FedEx, and of course we had to make sure we're within all the regulations. If we start running something funky out there, they'll pull a contract, which I can't afford to do. And the other thing is, I mean, even if I did take the risk of deleting something, then if I had to take it somewhere to a dealership hooks up to it. He goes, "Bud, that ain't my program in there. You're gonna have to take it back to whoever programmed that, and then they're gonna look at that system that doesn't have anything in it to where you've gutted it out, and then if the DOT catches it, they say it's astronomical.
Yeah.
The fine is."
I had an ISX 15 liter come in that had a hole in both sides of the block, and it actually the rod went through the ECM.
Wow.
And I'm okay. It was an R&R job. I pulled it out, get the new engine, put it back in, and I've got codes for sensors and stuff like that going off. Well, when we sent it to our engine shop, and our engine shop had a part, and they were pulling the EGR cooler off, and they found there was a plug, like a freeze plug, welded in the EGR cooler. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So they assembled the engine. It was a Cummins reman right from Cummins. They put all the accessories on that I sent with it. It came back to me. I put it in the truck, and I started doing everything, getting it ready to go. I actually had it done, was ready to go, and then all of a sudden it threw a code for differential pressure sensor. I'm like, well, that's weird, what's going on, and then it was like I test drove it some more, and it had an EGR flow code. I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on here. And
somebody blocked off some stuff.
Well, they gutted the inside of, just like Warren over there has, they gutted the inside of the DPF and the SCR, left it all in there, but it was all empty. And then I ended up finding the bellows pipe right in front of that EGR cooler. If you know what I'm talking about, Justin, or Mike, right there. They had two blocks. They just blocked off the bellows pipe and the EGR cooler.
So that way it would keep the turbo working right, because if you don't do that, then you'll get it'll overrun that turbo and give you a turbo bump on that, and the turbo will say, "Oh, we're gonna have to derate that," and all that. So it'll start shutting it down. If you had to put that system back, you basically had to build that system back right.
I had to rebuild everything on it, and they had it was reading a differential pressure sensor, even though it was gutted, because they took a pair of side cutters and they bent the one pipe that goes into that canister enough to make it read a differential pressure. And that's why I had a hard time finding that the canister was empty. Finally, I took my scope, went down there, it was an empty hole. And I'm like, you rotten mother. Oh, man, I was so pissed. And I'm like, somebody paid somebody like 10 grand to delete it, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And it cost them almost 20 to get it back to going to where it should be with the new, and then I had, it was horrible. It was such a hack job. It was just, I'll never forget it. And I don't even think the customer did it himself. He bought the truck from an auction.
Yeah. Well, you know why it was at an auction? Because it was deleted. Like the dealerships won't even, your truck is absolutely worthless.
Yeah.
You can't trade it in. They cannot take possession of it. The title cannot be in their name. They cannot, there's so many regulations. I just want to tell people, give up, man. Just let it go. Let it go. pick your battles. This is not a battle you want to pick.
Because there's
It's not a battle. It's not a battle you're going to win in the long run.
Nope.
It might be a short-term win situation. And if you're going to do the truck, and it's going to be a local truck that that when it comes in and out, you're going to have to deal with it like that. It's a hybrid at that point. And you're not going to be able to, like I said, if you take it to a dealership hooks up to the ECM, and it's going to go, well, that's not my program, because they have what they are doing is reprogramming and what they call a flash. They flash that ECM and reprogram that completely, and it has nothing associated with that type of truck anymore. It has you have basically bought into their system, and you're going to have to go back to whoever deleted it. And if they charge you $2,000 or $3,000, trust me, they're going to charge you $2,000 or $3,000 again just to get that problem solved. Whereas you may have thought, well, I've done good by deleting this thing.
Yeah. I went the other route. I've embraced it because I have to, like you guys are doing. We have to either figure it out and embrace it, fight it, or run old school stuff and not worry about it, And
I have about 30. I have about 30 old school trucks I got to sell. So I'm gonna have to get me another auction down here. I've got a bunch of Columbias that I need to sell. That've got the 60 series engines in them. I got them with all descriptions. Some of them have transmissions in them. Some of them don't. We rob our graveyard down here. I
just think that people just need to, things change, and sometimes it's not always for the better, but you always have to just embrace what the higher powers tell you to do, and then you have to figure out how to make that work for you. And
can't fight City Hall.
Nope, can't do it. And I just, I get frustrated by that, because it's like, man, if the investment that I have in this business, not willing to jeopardize 20 people's employment over something that's really not, that I really can't control or do, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Well, you might as well just go out there and stand in front of a telephone pole and argue all day. Get about as much done. And, we are going to have to learn to adapt. And we're going to see a major overhaul of the trucking industry within the next 10 to 12 years. You guys will be able to talk about it. I'll be probably dead and buried by then. So, but we'll see a major overhaul of what's coming down there. You're going to see a lot more of these electric trucks. You're going to see a lot of them with the automation type thing. I don't think the automation is going to take over the trucking industry, because anybody with any common sense is going to realize that there's too many factors involved with humans in the trucking industry. Now, granted, maybe you can get them going down the road, and you're going to see a little bit of this going on, but it will take years before I think the insurance companies will embrace that kind of automation to the trucking industry.
Well, it'll never happen in mine.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. It may in y'all's lifetime, but I don't think it will happen in my lifetime because of the fact I think the technology is there. The technology is not yet affordable, and affordability is going to be one thing. They're going to have to look at that and the maintenance of it. Good gosh almighty, everybody, all of us work with trucks with sensors. What are you going to do? I'm running out here in the middle of nowhere out here between Savannah, Georgia and North Carolina, and you go miles and miles, and there's nothing but swamp on both sides. that truck, all of a sudden, the sensor goes bad. That sucker sets down and on I-95. What the heck are you going to do? Is it going to turn on its own flashers? Is it going to get over onto the side of the road? If it hits something, is it going to be able to maintain? It won't happen. I have seen too many variables out there that I know that can happen. And if somebody were to jump out in the middle of the road or something, where an obstacle, and it can't get stopped real quick, and it doesn't have a good judgmental idea of what's going on. They could kill some people out there, and then an autonomous truck killing somebody, boy, that'll wipe somebody out.
Yeah, well, they got nobody to sue.
Right. Well, they don't have that company to wipe out. They won't have a driver.
Say the anonymous, there was nobody at fault because, the computer had a malfunction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the guy that programmed the computer.
Yeah, the engineer that programmed the computer had a problem, not me. I bought it, I guess. It'll be whatever. But anyway, I got to get off here because.
Well, I got to also because it's getting. My wife has lunch ready in just a few minutes.
Yeah, no, my boss lady's here. We got to do. We got to do invoicing, and this is a 5-hour nightmare every week.
Well, since you didn't get a live stream yesterday, you get one here.
If you're doing invoicing, forget you talk to me. Don't know my address, and we're good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could send you some bills,
I'm good. I don't need any.
I wish these YouTube people sometimes, like I got these keyboard warriors. I wish I could be like, hey, you want to pay this? Here, look at this. Right here. Get you some of this. Get you some of that.
You could be as cool as me and write checks, right?
Yeah. Like this, it looks fun. Trust me, looks fun. You know what I'm saying?
Make it look fun.
Make it look fun, but it's not. Like me and my wife will sit here and go through all this paperwork and try to get our invoicing right, so we can get paid. That's right, Michael. That's the most important thing.
I tell you, you go down and you see if there's a few pesos left for the boss.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, am I going to get a check this week?
Yeah.
It'll be close. It's gonna be
or the wife writes you a check and she says, "Here's your check. Oh, we're going to need it back for the company, though."
Yeah. No, I don't. We don't write ourselves really checks. Everything we just move money around or whatever.
And I used to do that, but I got it because of the level I'm at. I'm also an employee too, so we have that too.
Well, I'm an employee too. Yeah, when I first
I get a paycheck. I used not to when I was just starting out. I used to be the same way and all that sort of stuff. Well, guys, let's call it quits.
Have a good one.
Hey,
thanks, everybody. Nice talking to you, Justin. Nice talking to you, Michael.
Nice meeting you, Phil. All righty, see you guys later.
Have a good one.
See ya.